Judasaca is going to join us in the space soon. He's on the live stream now. I see Anna. I see Luco, mi hermano, ¿cómo estás? Adriano, Akash, thank you guys for joining. If you guys could please, comment below, retweet this or repost the space, whatever it's called now, would greatly appreciate it so we can get more people in the room. And that's also how I know who to give the POAPs to after the space. All right. Let's see who else joining. Dianela, how you doing? Riyadh, how's it going, my friend? Thank you for joining. All right, if you guys could please repost the space, comment below. Let's get some more people in here. All right, I'm gonna throw up our theme song that my boy Dan the Lost Boy created for the space, so we can just chill for that, and while we get some more people in the room, and hopefully we'll get more folks joining us soon.
You're now in the place to be. It's the Web3 Artist Spotlight. Let's go. Web3 Artist Spotlight. We get it poppin', get to talking on the spotlight. Web3 Artist Spotlight. We going live, deep dive on a hot mic. Every single show we go deeper than the surface. Learn about the artists, their vision and their purpose. From all different backgrounds, embrace the diversity. Talk about the process and the work that makes it worth it. Yo, join the conversation, it's that time of the day. Time when we delve into minds, find their creative ways. It's Web3 Artist Spotlight, illuminate the stage. From the canvas to the chain, from their minds to the page. We learn about the artists from the stories that they breathe. From the unknown to the frame, all grown from a seed. NFTs change the game, artistry's free on the blockchain canvas, authenticity's key. Different genres, different styles, yeah, it's all in the mix. A background so diverse, join the clip and get your fix. Yeah, you on game, revealing tips and tricks. Come join us in the spotlight, you're on the guest list. Every week we learn and listen when creatives make the call. Share about life and artwork, we talk about it all. Hosted by Giancarlo and Jenny, stars to unknowns. Join into the spotlight where the artists truly show. Web3 Artist Spotlight. We get live and get to talking on the spotlight. Web3 Artist Spotlight. We going live, deep dive on a hot mic. Every single show we go deeper than the surface. Learn about the artists, their vision and their purpose. From all different backgrounds, embrace the diversity. Talk about the process and the work that makes it worth it.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Again, please retweet or repost the space, comment below. I see some more faces in the audience. Thank you guys for joining. All right. So I'd like to kick this off first by just giving a quick background introduction on the space in case we have some people that are new, tuning in. Then I'll turn it over to Jenny to introduce our guest. We'll then jump into kind of interview questions. And then if we have time at the end, we'll open it up for people to come up, ask questions, vibe with us, let us know how you're doing. So let's kick it off, right? So the space is basically something I originally started out because I wanted to have a place where we could really, spotlight amazing artists in the Web3 space. I saw a lot of other spaces that just gave people a really short period of time to talk about themselves and then have to shill their art. And I wanted something where we could go deeper, right? Where we could really get to know more about the artist behind the art. And hopefully through that process, they could, connect with new people. We can kind of help really build more of a true community here in Web3, which is, I think, one of the main reasons why a lot of us are probably still here, right? For the art and the community. And I think also more importantly, I think there's a lot of power in these stories, right? I think when we hear other people's stories about, artists that are creating, that are putting themselves out there, it could really serve as a big form of inspiration, right? For other people that maybe have a creative passion to really start, creating and sharing their own thing too. So I really hope that these spaces could also serve as inspiration for other people. It's a very inclusive space. So we welcome artists of all nationalities, of all backgrounds, all artistic styles, ages, whether they have 50,000 followers or 50. We really want to celebrate how art and creativity bring us all together. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to my lovely co-host Jenny to introduce our guest for today. I'm very excited for this space. Go ahead, Jenny.
Thank you. Judasaca is an immensely talented street and digital artist. Juan Salazar, aka Judasaca, is known for his instantly recognizable rat character. He is also one of Web3's most forward-thinking artists and is one of the first to combine AR technology to art, bringing to life his NFTs and paintings. Juan is a teacher at a local university, as well as a public speaker and educator on Web3 in Latin America. His art has been exhibited worldwide in places such as NFT NYC and Arcot Expo in Tokyo, Japan. Apart from this, Judasaca is a great friend and supporter of the community, ever generous with his knowledge and his time. And with that, Giancarlo and I welcome Judasaca to the space.
Wow, Jen, for real. I mean, we talk about this way too much. Giancarlo, I'm so happy to be here. Really excited. I got a little bit emotional, if I'm honest. Sometimes to hear about myself and in other people's words and other people's views is something that really calls me out in terms of we are what we show we are. And I guess that was really well portrayed in that introduction. So I'm humbled to be here. Very happy to be here as well. I've been logging into your spaces, X spaces, whatever we call them now. And it's always so much to learn from, from other artists. As you said, Giancarlo, people in the community know that we have these Twitter spaces, whatever spaces in which we talk to each other, but it's normally a very short period of time, as you mentioned. And even though we have used that to make some connections, I feel these spaces really allow, like this conversation, like the spotlight today, really allows us artists to get who we are out there, to get to know the person behind the rat, in this case, the person behind the art, and going a little further in that conversation. So I'm so thankful to be here with you. Thank you to everyone that's joined. I see my good friends Luco and Ana and Judasaca, of course, my big brother. I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well, but really humbled to be here in general. Thank you guys, for real.
No, thank you so much, Judasaca, for being here with us, for being our guest. We've been really looking forward to this space and having you on. And honestly, there really is always something, special you can learn and value you can get out of everybody's story, right? And that's why I think it's so important that, we are able to shine the light on different people in the community, regardless of where they are in their journey. It's as, everybody has something beautiful to share with the world. So I wanted to kick it off like we usually do, maybe take like 5 minutes. Judasaca, tell us a little bit more about yourself, right? Like, who are you? Behind the art, right, behind the rat, and a little bit more about your story, and then ultimately, kind of how you actually came into Web3.
I would love to, and definitely I'm going to talk about the community. That's the one thing that got me here. So as Jenny said, I'm a professor, I'm a teacher at a local university, also a marketing academic coordinator, which doesn't really go with the art scene, but it's part of what I like doing. I started doing art when I was probably around 20 something, kind of dropped it off for a little bit. But in 1 year that I was abroad in Barcelona, I met with other street artists. One of those really inspired me to get painting again. So I started painting again. That was back in 2016, 2017, 2018, I started really painting. But it was more of a hobby. And I would just paint every now and then. It wasn't really serious. I wasn't doing it professionally until I started getting more into the art world, in the sense of going to the art neighborhood in Bogota and learning about galleries and meeting other artists. And I kind of felt like it was my place to be. So I started going more into that. 2020, I had my first expo in December. They had one painting of mine next to the bathroom in a gallery. So, that's where I started at, next to the bathroom in a gallery with a small painting. And the gallerist actually said he didn't really like the art, but that was what we had. So I was like, dude, you're not really like hyping me up, if you don't like the art, is it really something I can sell? I didn't really know. It was my first time. And so I went to the inauguration that one first day. I left early because I had other stuff to do, so I had to leave. And the gallerist called me and he's like, hey, we sold your artwork. And in that moment, I felt that if I can sell my art being next to the bathroom at a gallery, I think this is my spot. This is where I should be. So I kept on going. That really motivated me to know that in my first expo, I sold basically my first ever exhibited piece of art. So that was really something that connected with me. That was December 2020. And around March, if I'm not mistaken now, we had another call for artists for a Mickey-inspired exhibition. You know, I love Mickey. It's the rat, basically. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more about that and why I paint Mickey Mouse. And we had that expo, and I met Judasaca, and I started getting more into the art world. And that eventually got me to Miami all the way in October 2021. And while I was there, I was exhibiting my artwork next to great artists. You know, it was my first international expo. I've been, I'm feeling like I'm making it in the art scene in the sense of being able to sell my paintings. And I was right next to this kid, a great friend of mine today, Fabian Buitrago. You've probably seen him. He's part of the community, very active on Web3.
He's the one
and
that
he
first
told
me about Tezos, actually. So and actually him and Luco were one of the reasons I'm like, all right, let me start minting some stuff over there. So yeah, no, I know Buitrago. Yeah.
Yep. And he brought me in, and just as you mentioned, in the sense of the community, he was so nice to explaining me what NFTs are, how to use them. And that was a key part for me. Like when I understood that NFTs are not necessarily some digital weird connotation of words that nobody understands, but they can be anything we want. I saw it as a platform to get my art everywhere. And once Buitrago showed me this, I go into the space. That was October and November 2021. And I start meeting a whole bunch of artists, a whole bunch of people that bring me into this. And I start realizing that maybe this is a great platform to get my art across the world. I mean, I've only been in one international exhibition in Miami and a couple of ones here in Bogota. That was about it. I wanted to get to other places, and getting art out there, essentially by me not being an artist, was definitely a challenge. So that's how I jumped into the Web3 space. And as Jenny mentioned in that amazing introduction, I've been doing AR since, I don't know, maybe 2019 or something. I was very interested by it. The first time I saw it was from Pez Barcelona. He had this print, and he developed a whole app to get people to interact with his artwork. And once you scanned it with your phone, the artwork will start moving. And that really caught my eye. So I started doing that with my physical paintings. And then when I jumped into the Web3 space and the NFT world, I realized that there was not a lot of people using AR on another screen, like on another digital screen. And once I realized that I could also scan other phones and other screens, I started incorporating AR into my NFT work. And that, as Jenny says, is something that I'm really looking into. It's really something that I've been diving into. And it's how do we go further away or deeper into the artwork? Not only the screens, not only what we see in our houses to decor our house, but how can we go and have a deeper conversation? So that's what I started to do. I started creating bridges between art, regular traditional art, and digital aspects. And since people don't know what that is, NFTs, like 99% of people, 90% of people have no clue what that is. It gave me a spark to talk about NFTs and show people how I was using them. And that has been a great part of this educational journey, I would say, that we've had with the community. And when I talk about the community, I do not only talk about Web3, I talk about the Web2 people, the people that have no clue what NFTs are, and explaining it to them in a sense that makes sense to them, and something that they can relate to, and seeing the physical artwork and seeing the AR and being able to play with what they do. That is something that really opened up like my interest in the sense of taking care of that opportunity in the market, basically. So that's a little bit of me, but I also want to say where I come from. I was born in Bogota, Colombia. This is where I live now. I grew up by the coast, so I'm a beach kid. That's the way I see myself. I grew up right next to the beach, and that's all I knew when I was like probably 12 or something. I moved to Miami, to the States. I'm a South Florida kid. Proud, even though I was not born there, but I'm really proud of growing up in Florida. And with time, I ended up moving with my mom to Central Florida. So that's where I feel I belong in a sense. But a lot of my friends, like Joseph, will say, yeah, you think of yourself as a gringo. And I'm like, no, not really. I'm from wherever I am. But that's where I grew up by. And I've been now a marketing professor and an academic coordinator for the past 5 years. So I get a mix of the two worlds, the corporate world and this educational aspect, but also in the nighttime, although I don't paint at night necessarily, with the art world. That's what I do. That's what I do.
No, that's awesome. And thanks for sharing also a little bit about your background, and me being somebody also that grew up early in my life in Colombia, and then, came to the States, relate to that, but then you never really lose the Colombian culture. Like I still tell people, no, yo soy colombiano, like that. You can't take that out of me.
Colombiano
Yeah.
a morir. Yeah,
morir,
I'm very
man.
Colombian. I feel
Yeah.
like very local. I'm really proud of my culture. Like I love being Colombian. The food, the people, the jokes, the irony in which we speak, the sarcasm that we normally have in the Colombian culture. I'm a big fan of that. I'm Latino, man. We connect with the Latino community. We're loud. I like making. I don't know. I like having fun. That's part of what I do. And in that sense, I feel super Latino. So yeah, I don't lose that. Never will.
100%, 100%. And it was really cool hearing your story a little bit in terms of two things that really stood out to me, right? Like one is, you started getting success in the art space, right? Like, just selling the artwork that was by the bathroom, and then being able to show and everything, and then using, like, learning about NFTs from Bitrago, and then seeing that as an opportunity to really get your art seen more in more places, right? I think that's such a good key thing about this technology, right? Is that, like, it becomes very difficult to get discovered and seen when you're just doing traditional art, because you're very limited by geography, by who will show your art. But here we could throw stuff on the blockchain, and immediately, anybody anywhere in the world can see and buy your art, right, and connect with you, which I think is so cool. And your whole thing into AR. I mean, that was you were pretty early into that, and it's cool that you're using it as a bridge also with people that aren't familiar with NFTs, to be like, look, this is a cool way you can, like, see and interact with the artwork. So I think that's super cool. The other thing I wanted to kind of dive into next was, so I was curious, like, why you decided to choose your signature character, or a rat, right, for your signature character, one that kind of looks a little bit like Mickey Mouse. And so you can tell us a little bit about the backstory behind that character, and then what was the process like for you to create your version of it, the one that's in a lot of your artwork.
Yeah, well, that's a fun, interesting story. I feel, and I've talked about this with other artists, I cannot paint something that doesn't come from myself, And Mickey Mouse I didn't make, but it's something I lived by. As I said, I moved to the States when I was 11, 12 years old. And your parents would probably sell the ones that my parents told me, the States, as Mickey Mouse. You're going to live in Florida. You can go to the parks and you can go to Disney World and have fun. And yeah, that was kind of part of it, I would say. As soon as you get there, Florida, you go to Orlando, and that's what you do. You go to the parks, you go and see Mickey Mouse. Essentially, if you come from Latin America, I think you really understand where I'm coming from. So Mickey has always been a part of me. I feel everybody has a Mickey in their head. So I'm a marketer, and I use that to call people's attention. Now, as you can see from my art, it's not always like the pretty Mickey that we know, or like the cute character. I try to make it a little darker, if you may. I mean, I don't do this on purpose. It's just the way I kind of show it with what I do. I'm showing a little bit of that here. And that rat calls people's attention, But then I play with brands, and I try to connect Mickey Mouse with other stuff. In marketing, we call this dissonances. Basically, creating noise from something that should not be creating noise in this space. I also worked, and this is something not a lot of people know, but I worked for Philip Morris, the Marlboro people, tobacco industry. So in a lot of my art, you're going to see the Marlboro roof. It's basically that very famous, I would say, roof. It's what we call it for the Marlboro brand. You see it there on the Color Drip Rat, and you see it on the comic sketch. You also see it on Felix. You see it on Grey Rat's Cat. I basically put it everywhere. And if we talked a little bit about what we do in terms of society, we started banning promotion of cigarettes to kids based on studies that show that people, this is from the 80s, so if you're a little old like me, you probably know what I'm talking about. People, little kids, I would say, would relate Joe the Camel, which I know you guys remember because you guys are old enough, to the brand Camel in the same way that they would relate Mickey Mouse to Disney. So if a kid can do that, that means that we're basically offering cigarettes to kids, and that created a whole change into what we do. That was back in 1988, 1989 with J.R. Reynolds, and it changed, and it showed me as a marketer that whatever we do and the way that we market our products really affect society as a whole. So I try to connect those two into saying, what if I mix two things that should not be together, like Mickey Mouse and cigarettes, in that case, smoking rats, if you may, and we start having a talk about that. And as you can see, some of the rats are basically skeletons. They look dead. They got no eyes. So what I'm trying to say is, don't smoke. But Mickey Mouse says it this time, not the brand, not some letters on the packaging, but we do it from not reaching kids. Of course, most of my artwork, I'll say, is not aimed at kids, essentially the ones that have, cigarette consumption or tobacco industry or anything. But it's basically that joke that I want to play on that. In what I do, coming from marketing, it's called brandalism. It's vandalism, but in terms of brands. So it brings in that pop culture. It brings in Mickey Mouse that people know and calls people's attention. It shows also when I'm at art shows and kids come about, they are attracted by the Mickey Mouse, but they don't know the connotation behind it. And I like that. I feel that if you look at stuff twice, nothing stays the same. There's always more to see. If you hit on the AR, you're going to see that the painting is not just a painting. There's something more to it. Just like people. Once we get to know people, we know that there's more to them than just the first impression we probably had of something. And as a marketer, I really care for that. Creating different touch points, in this case with my art, in regards to what I do. So instead of having one question, I bring up two questions. Why do you do this? How come Mickey Mouse? And that starts off conversations that end up, sadly, this is what we do, selling art. But more than that, connecting with other people, which is what I really care for in this space and in the long run, if I may. So yeah, those two brands really play a very important part of what I do, what I was drawn into as a kid, and when I started doing as a professional. That's basically what's behind my art. Now, I don't only paint Mickey Mouses. I do got to be honest about this. I paint a whole bunch of stuff. I'm a big fan of doing portraits. I'm a big fan of Carlos Aquino because he does stuff like the stuff I do. I like painting faces. And when I got to the NFT space, I was still confused into what I should do. So I took my iPad and I'll call that drawings, basically my studio work. And I posted that as my Genesis collection, first drop on OpenSea. And it sold in one day. I had no idea what NFTs were. And I launched a collection thanks to Fabian Buitrago. And I find myself 24 hours later having sold 5 NFTs. And once I saw that, I said, I guess people click on that. People started recognizing my work with my rat. And I just kept on going with that. And yeah, this is what I've gotten so far with the rats, cats, even, if you may, and creating different characters out of the same characters. But yeah, I try to portray every influence that I ever had in terms of art, in terms of me growing up as a kid, in terms of the places that I've worked for. And I try to portray that into my drawings and paintings and artwork in general. That's where it comes from. Yeah.
Wow, it's so cool, and it definitely gives it a whole new lighter perspective for me to see how it tells a lot of your story and the early influence of the Mickey Mouse and that being the ideal as a Latin kid, moving to the US, and then the Marlboro work, and then how you bring in the branding. I mean, that's so smart too, man. That's awesome. Love hearing more about that.
Yeah, basically playing with brands. I feel if I go back to the 80s, Andy Warhol would do that. He'd put on brands that shouldn't be there. He didn't get paid for that. But it's art, so you got that gray space into making even jokes about it, if you may. I mean, I laugh about some of my artwork, but some people see other things. And I love that about art. It's not what I say, it's what people see on it. And that's interesting. That really calls my attention into developing and maybe critiquing some of the work in real life that we do in terms of brands. So yeah, I mean, it's not for free that I chose Disney and Marlboro. I mean, one of the two most famous brands in the world. Funny enough, two other brands that have also impacted me as a kid and as a professional during my years here. I'm 32 years old, and that's all I know. I mean, I know that I went to live in the States, and then I started working, and I worked for the Marlboro and tobacco industry. And I felt it was kind of fun to put that together, at least for this space.
I love that. And I love that you called it brandalism. And I think knowing that, it kind of makes sense then that you would have a pull towards street art. And that's actually my next question, which is, street art is something that you love, and it's one of the mediums that you create in. What is it about street art that you love so much? And can you share one of your most memorable experiences creating street art?
street art, I definitely love. I feel I'm influenced by it. I like talking about this because I like traveling around. So when I go to cities, big cities, I have a lot of street art. The streets talks to me. You know, they say if there's political aspects, if they're claiming stuff, if people are having problems. I come from Latin America, so if you go out in Bogota, people don't only put up their graffiti, they put up stuff like F the government, change this, change that, pay your taxes, stuff like that. They complain and it shows where people come from. But of course, and I'm very curious. Every time I'm on the car, I'm looking around, maybe looking for brands. I don't know, but I feel graffiti work kind of plays in that same sense of a billboard. It's something you put on the street, people can see, look at it, and that really like called my attention from the graffiti and art, street art scene. As I told you before, back in 2018, I had the chance to meet one of the greatest graffiti artists in Barcelona in the world, if we may, which is Chupet Negra. And once I saw his work, I started like realizing that these people have names. There's people behind them. I know a little bit about this as well, even here in Colombia. But I had the chance to speak to El Chupet Negra, Carlos Redon, and he said I showed him a little bit of my work, and he said, "Yeah, I mean, you could do it. You don't have to be an artist to paint stuff." So that really caught me into the whole street art, I'll say, movement. But I'm definitely, and I do gotta say this, I don't come from the streets in the sense that street artists do. I'm not a graffiti artist in the essence of it. But then again, it's like, can I also be a graffiti artist to the graffiti world? And that's kind of like what I do with Joseph, who's my good friend in the Web3, and Luco also. We call ourselves apartment kids. You know, we're not street artists, but we like painting on the streets, in the streets, but we don't come from there. So it's a mix of, if you go to the graffiti people, they'll probably not let me in, but the walls are still painted. So I guess I just graffitied your stuff, buddy. And I play a little bit on that and with that. But I'm very careful. I try not to paint on people's houses or any private property, even though I had done it. I know this is being recorded, but hopefully I don't get fined. But then in Colombia again, and the time Eddie Gangland was here, you guys were just showing that. In Bogota, essentially, I wouldn't say it's illegal to paint, but it's not legal. So there's like a gray area. And I make use of that. So in Bogota, there's a lot of street art, and I like doing that. I lived in Barcelona. There's a whole bunch of street art in Miami as well. Not always, but now that we have Wynwood, it's like a big part of the city, and people go there and visit these walls, and they're there for the world to see. So it's like an open gallery, and I love that about cities and walls and traffic. So that's what I do. But then I add a little bit of marketing to it. I always do. So when I'm driving around Bogota has really bad traffic, and I'm stuck in traffic and I see a wall in somewhere, I say I could paint that wall because people are gonna see it. I mean, there's always traffic here at this light, etc. And I play a little bit with that. So I'll call up Judasaca, and be like, "Hey, I saw a good wall on this street. What do you think about it?" He said, "Yeah, I saw it. That's interesting. We should go paint it." And we make a whole day out of it. We have fun. We go and share beers. And a funny story, we've been stopped by the cops a couple times now. Every time I paint on the streets, I go with Jusapata. The streets are dangerous, man. So it's Bogota. We live in a third world country, so you don't want to go by yourself. So I go with Ju, and we got stopped by the cops twice. And this one time was really funny because they came up to us, on the motorbike. We don't got cars for most of our cops here. And one of them goes down and he asked me like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "You're right. I'm painting. This is illegal. I'm sorry." And we go over to where Jusapata is painting. And the guy's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And Jusapata turns around and says, "I'm doing some graffiti work," but in the most chilled way possible. And I was like, "Dude, this is a cop. Like, this is a police officer. You can't just tell him you're painting the wall." And then he was like, "Oh, yeah." And then he got a call on his cell phone. So he told the cop to wait because he had to take the call first. And I was like, "Hey, Jew, like, what are you doing, man? For real?" They asked us for our IDs, and I'm 32 years old. Jew's a little older. He just turned 40, and the police officer gave him back his ID, and he said, "Aren't you a little bit old for this?" And that was just hilarious. I was like, "What's happening?" And the first thing the cop told us after he ranted us, he was like, "Hey, don't tell me this is art. Don't come to me with that bull stuff. I don't want to hear it." And Joseph was like, and I was like, please don't start that conversation with the police officer. Don't say that this is art. And he's like, it depends. If you paint it, I might not like it. But if I paint it, it might be cool. And I was like, you gotta love Judasaca. And that was one of those funny stories. Another one, painting another wall, the cops came again, probably somebody called them, and they told us to stop painting. We said, yeah, it's fine. But as we moved from that wall, we walked towards my car, and there was another graffiti from us, right next to my car. And the cops saw already Judasaca's pigeon, and they saw my rat. And I was like, Jew, we need to leave now, because once these guys realize that we've been vandalizing the whole neighborhood, they're probably not just gonna, they're not gonna tell us just to go. They're probably gonna fine us. And yeah, that's about it. But I love painting in the streets. It's fun. Bogota respects that a lot. I've been painted over. People have painted over my stuff. It's part of the street world, I would say, and I really enjoy it. I think I've made some graffiti. People call me out on them, and when they see them, they also take pictures of it, which I believe to be very interesting. And the best story I've had so far was based on coincidences. So we went to New York, NFT NYC, highlight of my artistic career. And one day we decided not to go to the NFT thing right away, but we decided to actually go on and, tourist around New York. I've only been there twice. So I said, yeah, why not? So we ended up going to Bushwick in Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's
And Giuseppe told me, he's like, hey, we got to buy some cans, we got to buy spray cans. I was with Luco as well. And I said, yeah, but where do we paint? I mean, it's New York. It's illegal. I don't want to get in trouble. And he's like, hey, if we don't buy them, we ain't going to paint nothing. And I was like, I guess you're right. So we went on. We were at a bar. We asked, hey, where can we buy some spray cans? And they said right next door. So we were literally right next door to the spray can shop. We go there, we buy some cans. And then we're like, what do we do? Where do we go? What do we paint? So we went on to this, there was a poultry place on the corner, and we asked the guys, hey, can we paint here? Somebody said, you got to talk to the owner. Judasaca goes inside, talks to the owner, and he shows them both of our art, and the guy comes and says, only the pigeons. I mean, it's a poultry place. It makes sense. And he comes out, he's like, hey, Juan, I talked to the guy. He said, we can only paint the pigeons. So, I mean, I'm all for it, but your rat doesn't go. And I was like, damn, what do I do? So whatever, I helped Ju and Luco paint the pigeon. Really nice. Took some pictures. And then I said, I got to go find another wall, I mean, I'm not going to buy cans and not paint. So we moved like a couple of blocks from where Giuseppe painted his dove, his palometa, pigeon. And I start painting my rat, doing my own thing. Then Luca comes about. He's helping me with the backgrounds and stuff. And as I look over, I see Eddie Gangland, Cameron coming, Carlos Aquino, everybody. But I mean, it's New York. They could have been anywhere. And they decided to pass by that same street in the 20 minutes that it took me to do my rat. So we gave a can to Eddie, and he did his thing. He did his gang boy. And that was a pretty cool moment in terms of graffiti. So yeah, that's a little bit of the whole story of how I got influenced by it and what I've done so far.
Oh man, I love that so much. And I love the serendipity of that moment of everything working out the way that it was supposed to. And I also really like thinking about the fact that it is basically like a bulletin board. I never thought of it in that way. So it's like you're marrying that marketing and that art side of you. And I think that's really brilliant. So it has me considering street art in a different way. You also you're very versatile. You also have an abstract collection, which you more recently created, and it's lovely. I love it. It's called Abstract Studio, and it features pieces that are distinctly different from your previous art drops. And I was curious to know if you will be releasing more art into that collection.
Yeah, hopefully. I do gotta say, I'm gonna shout out to my good friend Luco. I know he's been here as well. And he started telling me, just like you, Giancarlo, he started telling me about Tessos and, hey, people are coming into this and there's no gas fees, which is something that I talked about when I first jumped into the NFT space. I started on Polygon, and then people were like, no, but Polygon's not cool. And I was like, but why not? I mean, it's free gas. And then nobody was on that. And then same argument came on to the Tessos community. And Luco one day at my house said, why don't you, drop a collection here? So I said, yeah, I do like to separate different marketplaces with different art, and I felt Tessos gave me that option to do the editions that I rarely ever do. I'm more of a one-on-one NFT artist, but I felt it was kind of interesting just to get on that, just to show a little bit different, something different from where I normally do. But I like sketching. I don't always, as I say, I don't always paint the rat, so I like doodling around, if I may, and that's why I called it studio. You know, it's basically my abstract studio where I just let my head go and create some different styles, I would say, and yeah, I'll be most definitely creating some more work for Tessos. But for now, I was focusing on this new drop that I've been working on. But yeah, I love the abstract work. I love what Luca does. You know, like getting influenced by what other artists do as well. And I wanted to play with those lines. I would say there's even a bit of an influence from Ana, from Ana Suarep and her well done lines in a lot of that work, but also influences from John Miro, which is a big influence of what I do. Not only because of the art, but basically how he approached art, not as a great artist, but more of a great community builder. If we talk about John Miro's work, some people may say, yeah, his artwork is amazing, but I bet a whole bunch of other people differ from that. It's very basic, it's very childish, if we may. Now, if you try to do it, you probably won't reach that same level of expression. But I really like what he does, and I played a little bit with that on this abstract work, and it's basically showing people like a little bit of my thoughts, if I may. Like this is what I was thinking that day, and I just put it on something. And it's very abstract, and sometimes it takes like I figured it work, but not really. It's basically just telling people or showing people my thoughts. That's the way I felt Tessos. Just put it out there, see how it goes. Not in terms of sales, but in terms of how people approach it and receive it. And it was really nice. I do gotta say, it was really nice to find new collectors, collect among friends, and yeah, the Tessos community is very active. Essentially, in times like these where the market is very volatile, I guess it helped us to stay in contact, to keep creating, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, that's part of the abstract studio is whatever comes into my mind, put it on a sheet of paper. In this case, of course, a digital sheet of paper on my iPad, and that's what came out. It's like having fun a little bit, just putting it out there, trying out new colors, new palettes, like studio work, basically. Yeah, influenced by Luco, I do have to say. Luco gave me that push into the Tessos marketplace. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Luca, for that, because yeah, I was really taken by that collection. It was the first time I had ever seen you do something like that. And like, I remember this one that I pinned to the Twitter space. I was like, man, maybe I'm reading into it, but like, I thought these were like maybe Mickey Mouse colors a little bit. And then you dropped that one that had the pastel colors to it. And I was like, whoa, Juan, like, that's really different for you. And I really vibed with that big time. So yeah, I'm excited.
Now that you mention it, the one that's posted here on the Twitter space, that was my first NFT. That was March 2021. Thanks to Eddie Gangland. I remember I texted him and I said, "What is that? What are NFTs? I don't know what you're talking about." And he literally replied, "Google Mint Table," which is another marketplace. So I went on there and I didn't know what I was doing. So I posted up an artwork, which was that one. At first, abstract Mickey. And I put it up there, didn't know what I did. So I left it there. And then 2 years after, I was like, I have a bunch of these abstracts that I should probably get out there. And once I put it out there, it went super quick. And I was like, hey, people are liking this. People are, they're digging into this, I would say, old stuff or new stuff that I haven't shown. So it's new for you, but it's something that has been in the back of my head and I've painted before. So yeah, just started doodling around. Of course, there's a Mickey Mouse there. It's an abstract rat, Mickey. And I'm pretty happy you caught on that, Jen, because that was literally my first ever digital piece that I actually minted somewhere. It wasn't my first digital piece, but it was the first piece that I minted somewhere. I completely forgot about it, about Mint Table. I didn't really pursue it. And then 6-7 months after, I started going back into the NFT space. And then 2 years after, I say, Tesla seems like a great place to go. And that's why I dropped my first abstract part of the studio. Yeah. Really nice you caught on to that. Definitely Mickey Mouse colors. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And I can actually almost see, like, when I look at the piece, like I can see like the little like eyes of the upper left part and the nose, and it's, yeah, totally can like visualize it there. But yeah, no, it's so cool to learn more about that abstract side and how it's really an expression of like your thoughts and feelings. And, it's really cool to see that different side of your artwork, man. That's awesome. And I think the one of the questions I wanted to ask next, and you kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier in the interview, right? But you you did this like kind of fun type of like short, quick question, short answer interview on your Instagram from what is it, Fro Culture? I forgot, I don't even know how to pronounce it, right? But like where they asked like a bunch of like questions and things like that. And what in one of them, you talked about how with the art you try to express this philosophy that nothing stays the same, right? And that so you're able to do that, in a way with your art that you're not able to probably do it with words. And so I was wondering if maybe you could talk to us a little bit more about that philosophy, like what it means to you, and why what are you able to convey with your art in a way that you can't do it with words when it comes to that.
I'm gonna try because as you just said it, it's hard for me to explain it, but I live by this. It's something that a good professor of mine when I was in high school, I'll say my best teacher, the one that actually made me want to become a teacher eventually. So yeah, Mr. Burnett would say, nothing stays the same. And when he would say that, he didn't mean like the world, which also doesn't stay the same, but one doesn't stay the same. So everything changes. And it made me crave. I mean, as I told you my story, I lived everywhere, like in various cities. I went to 9 schools. I didn't get kicked out of none, but my parents moved a lot, so nothing stayed the same. And that was something that really, I would say, marked me or made me who I am. I know that stuff would change. People, we grow older. Our perception of art, of Mickey Mouse, of He-Man, changes as well. But some things makes us go back to being little kids, And I feel that the longer you're a kid, the longer you don't want to grow up, the younger you are. I mean, I'm 32. I feel like I'm 17. But everything necessarily has to change, and we need to adapt to that. So what I try to portray with my art is that if you look at something once, you might take that for life. But if you go deeper into it, the conversation will show that it changes. Nothing stays the same. Essentially, from us, the first time we look at something, we might make some judgments. That maybe the second time we go about it, that judgment may change. In terms of art, and as I told you from my story in Marlboro and Disney, well, Disney doesn't always have to speak to kids. Can it speak to us? We all have a Mickey Mouse in the back of our head. Can he tell us not to smoke? And I guess he can, So nothing stays the same is something that really moves me in the sense of not allowing stuff to be always still. And if you feel that something is the same always, there's something wrong there. Stuff has to change, art has to change. Integrating art and technology is something that makes part of that. And basically is about breaking paradigms, not believing that stuff is only one way and finding other ways of showing that. So definitely that's what I live by. Nothing stays the same, starting from me and my perception of the world. So what I try to do with my art is show people what I'm thinking at the end of the day, and how I see the world and my marketing and living everywhere kind of way, in the Judasaca way. But yeah, nothing stays the same is something that I go by in my regular day life. I don't know if I've expressed that well in words, but
Yeah,
I
I
probably
think
said some things that make sense.
I think you did explain it beautifully, and it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's very true, right? I mean, I reflect on myself, right? We evolve, we change as people so much, like every day, we're constantly learning new things, we're appreciating different things, we're experiencing different things, and how we feel, how we see the world, our belief systems, they evolve, they change over time. And also, like you mentioned, like technology is changing, the art world's changing, everything around us is constantly in motion, so that's cool.
And
yeah,
Jen, now that you say that, we don't always enjoy that,
Mm-hmm.
And if we talk about music, once we grow older, every generation says that the music that they heard when they were 16, 17 is better than the next one.
Yeah.
And that to me is just not understanding that everything changes. How boring would it be if music would sound the same always?
Yeah.
Like if your favorite artist will keep playing the same song over and over again. I mean, if you think about that twice, it can be very creepy or weird in a sense of like, so you're going to sing the same song forever? Yeah. Isn't that what you like? Oh, no. Yeah. I got tired of that song already. Don't you got some new stuff to create? Don't you want to say something different? And I feel people don't like change. And that's something that in other conversations we can talk about how people like stuff to be okay, normal, regular, non-changing. But that's not true. The world definitely changes and we need to adapt to that. If we don't, we might hit ourselves against a couple of walls throughout our lives for sure. Because we got to understand that stuff changes, kids grow, so do we grow older, our knees hurt, we start getting white hairs in our beard, and we fall asleep at 10 because we're tired. Fridays are not the same anymore, you know? And for that, I call out on Judasaca. Judasaca is 40 years old and this kid is like 12. He doesn't stop, so I budge on him in the sense of like trying to get a little bit of that, feeling young always. And it's a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily go in our bodies. And it's just going about that.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you know what? This brought back to me something that happened, like, I think it was like last week. So one of our friends, Jenny B, you know, was actually one of our guests on this space before. She also makes great artwork. She was going to be celebrating like an anniversary, and I forgot how many years it was. Forgive me, but she shared about a song. You know, this song from like Alanis Morissette, and I remember also hearing the song. It was like Head Over Feet, and you know, hearing it when I was younger, and always jam to the music and everything like that. But then like sometimes you can listen to the exact same piece of music or look at a poem again or watch a movie again, and then you experience it in like completely different light. Like, you know, and she was like talking about how like the words of that song meant so much more now after having been like in this relationship and her marriage for so long. And yeah, the same thing. And I was looking back, reflecting on it and being like, wow, yeah, like looking at this now from where I am, who I am today, it's like a completely different thing. The meaning of it is so different, you know? So I just got me thinking a little bit about that, like how, we can definitely appreciate something very differently. Just, you know, it could be the same thing, same piece of artwork, same music, but then just view it and see it and appreciate it in a very different way, you know, because of how we change.
Yeah,
exactly.
Cool. I love that. So earlier you talked a little bit about the fact that like back in 2019, you know, PES Barcelona was kind of an inspiration for you to want to get into, using AR, right, and you know, bringing that into your artwork because of like how much it could like enhance the experience with it. So I know you definitely have been a pioneer when it comes to the technology. I know you like onboarded, Judasaca and others to kind of start doing it. Even applied it to like some of your merch and everything, which I always found really cool. And what I was kind of curious about, because I know there might be other people here that might be interested also a little bit in using AR. Like, what was your process to like learn about the technology, and maybe how someone that might be interested in using it, like what could they do to like learn and start, incorporating it into their art to improve the experience?
Great question, actually, because it goes back and like we're still aligned to the nothing stays the same kind of deal. So if you look at something, you might like it, you might not like it. It's art, subjective. But then if I show you AR, some people are like, I don't like the painting, but the AR is kind of cool. So I brought him back to talk to me. So that's interesting. The reason why I got into this, and I would say I'm lucky about it, it's because I saw a friend of mine doing it here, a friend of also PES Barcelona, but they were doing these AR filters they were doing them on like different apps, but these guys were doing it on Instagram. You know how you use AR to make yourself pretty on Instagram and filters and all of that? And we had the dog ears for Snapchat. And I said, are you guys using Instagram for this? And they said, yeah. And I loved it. I'm a marketer. I know that people take pictures of things. They want to share their AR, whatever they bought, their NFTs. But if somebody has 100 followers and they buy a piece of art from me and then they scan the AR, they're already in their stories. So that creates this great deal of shareability and basically putting my art to other people in other conversations. So that's something that really called for me. Funny enough, these guys that were doing this, they were charging me like, I don't know, a couple $100 to do one of these. And I said, I'm all for it. I'll pay. And I was literally just begging these people, can you please show me? Can you please do it? What do you need? They never replied, never answered. They were kind of not wanting to show me how it worked. But I'm curious, like I really am. And I'm an academic as well. I like reading and I like doing stuff right. So I went on Google, did a little bit of research, found out what Spark AR is. It's free, it's from Meta. And I downloaded it and I was like, holy crap, I don't know how to use this. It's like downloading for the first time ever, I don't know, Photoshop or Illustrator. It's pretty easy if you know how it works, but if you have no clue what you're doing, it's literally Chinese. And I don't speak Chinese. For the Chinese people, they'll probably say, yeah, it's normal. I don't speak Chinese. I was just lost there. And it took me a while. The first AR I did took me about 3 months because I just couldn't get it to work. I wanted to do it in 3D, but then the 3D would come out bad. And I'll do a lot of tests, try to get it to work correctly. And then if people had a Samsung phone, it would come out black. But if you had an iPhone, it would come out with the right colors. And that was a big headache. I'm not good at coding. As I said, I'm a marketer. I have no clue about design. All I do is I pick up my Apple Pencil and I draw on Procreate every time I go in to do some art. Like I don't use any other tools but the pen and basically paper, in this case, digital paper. And I started going for it. I didn't know how to animate stuff, so I started learning about it. Did a couple of 100 hours, I don't know, of YouTube videos and Metasparks tutorials. And then out of nowhere, like 5 months into the app, they launched these templates. So instead of having to create everything, like basically coding, now you could just use a template and work from that. So that really changed the whole approach to it, I would say. But yeah, if you guys want to learn about it, Google Metaspark Studio, download the app. They got great tutorials inside of the same application software. If you still need help, which a lot of people have found that they still do, just reach out to me. I'll help you. As Jenny said, I like getting my knowledge across other people. Some people say, but why do you teach AR to other people? And I said, because it broadens up my market. Now people know what AR is. And hopefully people can go back to me and link that back to what I do. If they don't, it's all right. I don't mind, but I like other people getting to know what AR is and also giving it a different use. I mean, we've had AR for a long time now. We had the Snapchat, we like sharing with our friends. And I said, what if I use the same thing that we've been using, shareability and social media, in this case, not to talk about how pretty we are, which is fine, I guess, in social media, but to show art and to make people interact with my art and to make people get likes because of something they bought and to make people get comments on their posts and replies on their stories. And people live by that. So if that's what we do, then that's what I'm going to do. If people like sharing what they do. If they go to a restaurant and take a picture of their plate, they're also going to take pictures of the NFTs and artwork that they buy. And as you were just showing, interactive artware or like actual clothing that also has AR, and that sparks conversations. I mean, it's a conversation piece in a way. Whatever you're doing out there, it's like, oh my God, how cool! What is that? That can happen in an art gallery, which they're very limited. We don't go to them. We have the geographical barriers of not being able to go to New York, go to Miami. But social media is pretty global today. So yeah, that's why I use it. It's pretty easy if you have the right person to ask the right questions. So if anybody needs help, I say this to everybody, I'll be more than glad to help. Another great thing about AR is, and showing people how this works, is that I learn more from them than they do from me. And that's funny. So I started doing AR. It was fun. And then I brought Judasaca into doing some AR. And his creativity just opened up so many new opportunities for me. So that's why I do it. I know it sounds selfish, but hey, I'm helping out. I might as well get something in return. It's basically how I see this whole community building.
Yeah,
and with that, I also say
win-win, right?
Yeah, sorry.
No, just say yeah.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
Definitely, and that sounds, I'll say, sometimes even cute. Just to say that. I mean, I like the art world. I like hanging out with people, but if we do it together, isn't it way better? And that's something that I really believe. Like, I could do this whole thing by myself. I wouldn't go on Twitter, not talk to anybody, get my sales, go home, fall asleep, whatever you do. But if we could do this with our friends, oh man, that's amazing. And a big part of that, and I've been shouting out to my two good friends, Luco and Judasaca, but everybody, Anna has also been there from the very beginning. Jenny B, you mentioned her, Carlos Aquino, of course, Jenny, you as well, Giancarlo, David, and everybody else, Jane, Cameron, everybody. When we met in New York, I felt like I've met them or I've known them for my whole life. I felt like I was going back to my high school reunion, which is weird. But then when I got there, it wasn't like, oh my God, is that you? It was more like, yeah, we just kept the conversation going. And when we use technology in the right way, because I'm a big believer that technology can put us apart from people, but if I use it correctly, it doesn't, not at all. I use social media to make friends. I mean, Jennifer, I feel she's like super close to me. And we made this connection through social media. So if you use the things correctly and if you give them like a good objective, I think most of the tools that people complain about can actually be tools that enhance our experience and what we do as artists. I can't lie to you guys. I I mean I wasn't all that successful, if you may. I don't like using that word. Before I got into NFTs, but I'm not successful because I got into NFTs. I've become more successful because I've made a whole bunch of connections. And those connections, if you actually pursue them, they become friendships. And I really enjoy that. I mean, I like making friends. I like having fun. And if we can make some art and eventually some money out of that, why not? It's a win-win situation. But the first thing is you most definitely have to have fun. And I was talking with Joseph about this a couple of days ago, about like a meeting and whatever, like the times for meetings. And I said, for NFTs, to do the stuff I like, which I also like my work, but to do the stuff I like, I don't feel like it's work. I do it because it's fun. And I like having fun. And if I can keep that forever, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing until I'm gray and old. I want to have fun.
I love that so much. And I love that you are so open with your knowledge. I think that's honestly one of the things that I love the most about you, to be honest, that you're so free with that knowledge, because not everybody is like that, not just in Web3, but just in general, like they want to like hoard that information to themselves because they feel like somehow they're going to lose something. But in fact, you have everything to gain, by being that way. So I love that you said that. And I also was thinking about how you said the word enhance, the technology can enhance our experiences. And I actually had a question about how you view the future. Like, do you think AR will become a part of daily life? And if so, what do you think that future looks like for us?
I've been asked this question before because I also like VR experiences. I love virtual reality. I bought myself a pair of Oculus Quest 2 like 2 or 3 years ago, and I started going in there playing video games. And I started asking my friends like, "Hey, do you have a pair of Oculus?" Like, what? What is that? Yeah, like the VR headset. No, I never heard of that. That's kind of weird. I don't like it. And I was like, "What do you mean, man? But isn't this fun?" So what was fun for me apparently was not fun yet to a whole bunch of people. So I felt that AR, and we're going there. VR, I love. I mean, we have even an art expo that mixes traditional art with VR experiences, and we're working on that. But it's still really far from today, if I'm honest, or at least that's the way I see it. But I do see a previous step, which is AR. Everybody has a cell phone. Dogs have their own Instagram accounts. I mean, it's like everybody is connected to, for now, social media and their phones. We went from 4 hours and 19 minutes before the pandemic of screen time, average, all the way to almost 6 hours and 30 minutes after the pandemic of screen time. This in 18 to 24. That's insane, guys. That's 50% increase in 2 years. So that's basically, that gives me a trend or like a tendency of showing me where we're going. But even 2023, the Vision Pro, they're gonna come out at $3,500. The new Quest 3, they're gonna be $500. And yes, I guess a bunch of the Americans can actually buy this, and maybe the Europeans, but it's still not global. I mean, Latin America is gonna take a while for them to be able to buy one of these products. So we're not there yet. And AR, people have phones. They're smartphones now. Everybody has a smartphone now. Most people, of course. I'm generalizing. It's gonna be our, piece of technology that for now we use it to call our friends and text them. But if we can start scanning stuff, I feel that's where we're going. Information, packaging. And I'm going to talk about marketing, but if I want to have a global product, I have to do a packaging for each local market. With AR, I could do one packaging, one QR code, scan it, you get the information based on the IP. You know, you scan around stuff and barcodes in restaurants and places, and you start getting more and more info. For now, it's very visual today. I mean, you still get like information or like the AR that we normally use. But in the near future, I think we're gonna use it way more than we're doing now. And as we start understanding AR, I feel that with everything, just as we do in everything else, we're gonna fall short. We're gonna want more real, and I put that in quotation, experiences based on virtual reality. So it's like a half step, if you call it, if you may, before we get to VR. And that's why I'm so damn focused on AR. And I saw it from the Vision Pro. They don't talk about virtual reality, they talk about mixed reality. And since we're not virtual yet, I believe mixed reality is something that we're really going to talk about in the I would say probably near future, like 2 or 3 years from now. We're going to be scanning everything with our phones. Cameras are great. We got lidars, scans in the back of our iPhones. We're starting to get on that. We're going to start scanning stuff and creating the virtual world from that. That's the way I see it. That's why I love AR so much, because it's accessible. That's the key word there. AR is accessible. VR is fun, but non-accessible, not yet. There's so lots of barriers for it to go global. So that's the main reason for AR.
Yeah, I love that. And I like the idea of blended reality. I feel like that's way more palatable to people too, as an entry point, because there are people who aren't that tech. It doesn't appeal to them in the same way. So like being able to blend it is more palatable, more to more people. So I like that. Besides the fact that, like you said, there is a price thing to consider as well. So you're an educator at a university during the day, but you're also an educator and speaker on Web3 in Latin America. Can you share with us why you feel it's so important for you to educate others on Web3?
Most definitely. I was just this last week on Thursday, I was at the Crypto Latin Fest, some sort of NFT NYC, but in Bogota. So I'm sorry for the comparison, but it's kind of like the same thing, same idea. It was really nice at Crypto Latin Fest. We had a bunch of Latin American artists. And basically, the reason why I jumped into this educational aspect of NFTs is because I feel, and I still believe, that the whole Web3, NFT, blockchain conversation is so confusing, guys. Like, for real. I still don't get it. Like, half of the terminology, I'm still like, hey, Ju, what is that? You know, I'm always asking somebody because I'm lost. And I've read about this, like I should know. But if I don't recall it, I bet that a whole bunch of other people don't recall it either. So my whole approach to educating people, and I put that in quotations, in the NFT world was more like, how do I translate what we're doing and this whole technology and this whole bunch of people that are doing Twitter spaces into what regular people, and I'm not calling us weirdos, but we know about the technology, the other ones don't. How do we translate that? And the reason why I took this role, I would say, into speaking to other people and translating the NFT, whatever we do, into regular people, is because 9 out of 10 don't know what I'm talking about. So why would I focus on the one when there's 9 people out there, not necessarily willingly, but interested maybe into knowing how we use Web3 and what we've been doing and why we go on Twitter and why we do digital art and what the hell is blockchain. So yeah, during that conversation we had at the Crypto Latin Fest, I talked about translating blockchain. Yeah, I don't know what that is, man. Satoshis, Bitcoins, NFTs, Ethereum. And I'm just making faces like, I don't get that. But if you say art, if you say payment, if you say like a big book where we keep everybody's information and it's transparent and we use words that people understand, then that really creates innovation in the sense of adopting this new technology. It's not just showing new technology to people, it's allowing them to actually use it. And I'm a big fan of using things and not just knowing the theory behind it. Like I can tell and talk about NFTs non-fungible tokens for ages, and we did. I felt the space was stuck for a while. All we did was NFT space. What are NFTs? What are NFTs? I'm like, hey, why don't we answer the question, what the hell do I do with an NFT? Instead of just knowing what an NFT is. I mean, are we, like, for real, are we going to keep talking about this? And I remember, like, the first year in NFTs, I was like, dude, I don't want to go into any other space to talk about what NFTs are. I want to go into another space to talk about what we do with NFTs, the experiences that we're creating, the money that some people are generating, the duality between traditional art and digital art. That's what I want to see. I want to do stuff. I don't know if it happened to you, but when I was a kid, I used to hate going to school because it was about remembering things. And I hated that. I can't recall anything.
And remembering a bunch of stuff that you're like, how am I going to use this? Why?
Exactly.
Why
and then I'm like, what's this for?
Yeah.
Remember now, probably, right?
Am I ever going to use this? And we do use a lot of the stuff that they teach us in school. We just don't know because nobody told us. So I said, you know what? I'm going to show people that NFTs, we're probably going to have to step back from Web3 and maybe talk about the 2.5. We got to show the rest of the world, what the hell is it that we're doing? Why are we connected? Why do we talk to each other? What is this? What moves you? How come you're now an artist? Oh yeah, the NFT thing helped me do that. How come? I created a community. I'm active in it. I add to the community. They, of course, bring me some information and knowledge back to what I do, but it's about doing and not just knowing. So my educational aspect to this has been showing what we can do with it. And that's basically what I speak about. I don't go and tell people what NFTs are. I show them what we've done after knowing what NFTs are. And Judasaca and Maria Paula Alzate, another big friend of ours, we started answering these questions for the people that didn't know. And organically, we ended up making this exhibition that creates or links traditional artwork, which is what we do, with the digital world. And people who go to traditional artwork scene, they don't know anything about the digital world. But we went there and we gave them a chance to put on a VR headset and to go and see NFTs now in a virtual gallery. And 10 out of 10, literally, like the 100 people that tried it on, they said, oh shit, this is nice. This is interesting. And I can walk around and the painting looks like I'm at my house. And I was like, yeah, that's what NFTs are. Since we spent today, back in 2019, 4 hours on our phones, and by 2023, we got 6 hours on our phones. And there's numbers that show, studies that show that we're going to be spending at least 1 hour a day in virtual reality experiences by 2026. Oh, we got to talk about that now. 2026 is tomorrow. You know, it's only 3 years from now. This year is already gone. So I want to translate and show that NFTs can be useful if we know what we're doing. But yeah, that's basically what I've been doing when I have those chances to speak to other people. Yeah.
And I freaking love that so much. And I think that's a big thing that like we're missing in the space. You know, it's that like the why, what is the real utility behind this? Like, why are we doing this? Why do we bother? Like, who cares what the hell it is and the technology, but you know, but it's like that you guys are actually showing people like, hey, I can create art digitally, you know, and then you can put this on and it's like you're in a gallery and you can appreciate and see art, right? And you can do that. And I think the other thing too, like when you were talking about your story, right, which I think is an important one, is that when you're an artist, you can be kind of limited also a bit with like where and how you can sell it, right? Like, you know, you're geographically challenged with being able to like reach other people and being able to get people to see it, to admire it, to understand your vision behind the art, what you're trying to convey. And now with this technology, you know, we can, you know, share it, actually even combined with Web 2, right? Like, you know, you leveraging social media and Web3, we can now like share it with people all over the world. And by the way, they could actually buy it and you can transact and you can, you know, you don't need to worry about exchanging money, you know, for euros or yen or whatever the hell, you know, like you can, so it's like, it's breaking down barriers that we have today in the physical world, you know? So, and I think that's the stuff that we need to do more, right? Is to really be able to like sell, like, what the hell is it that we're doing here, right? And the connections, right? I think the community and all that is so cool. So I love that you guys are doing that and you're really focusing more on that part of it as opposed to just talking about what is it and the technology, because then you just lose people. Like, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know what that is, but when you mention payment and you talk artist, that's interesting. When I was in Miami, I didn't talk about this enough. I was gonna sell a painting, and I was like, "How do I pay you? I don't have cash on me." And I was like, "Shoot, I don't know. You're probably gonna have to ask for a SWIFT number and make a transaction to my bank. It's gonna probably take some validation, and probably take, since it's an international transaction, some 2 or 3 days." And I was like, "Oh crap, this is not good." So I ended up solving that for that particular painting that I sold. I solved it, like, I don't know, I think I did sell or something, like somebody's number, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll give you the money." And I was like, "This is non-scalable. I mean, this makes no sense. This cannot be a business." NFTs solve that question in a second. Money you know where it comes from, you know where it's at. You can put it in any other coin that you want. You can pass it on to your account, to your banking account. And that makes a lot of sense to me. It makes a lot of sense. We don't only understand NFTs as some JPEG that you have in your phone, but also as a technology that allows us to receive payments anywhere in the world. So now I'm not selling paintings in Bogota and Cartagena in Colombia, but I'm selling paintings in Miami, in the States, also in Europe. I've sold a couple, and getting my art there is insane. I mean, I would have never thought of that. And doing that through NFTs, and when I told that to people, they're like, "Oh, okay, I want to do that. Show me how that works." Our good friend Daniel from Puerto Rico, he asked me something that was really interesting. When I met him, he said, "Do you know how the internet works, like Wi-Fi?" And I was like, "Yeah, you got to turn on the little Wi-Fi thing on your phone, and you connect to a network." He's like, "No, but like behind it, like, do you know how it actually works?" And I was like, "No, but you know how to use it, right?" And I said, "Yeah, we use it every day." So we today stand and we're talking through the internet without knowing how it works. Imagine how boring and annoying we would be if we stopped this conversation just to explain to everybody how Wi-Fi goes into your phone so that you can connect. Dude, no. I wanna talk to people. I don't want to know how it works behind it. And that's the world we live in today. So that, of course, keeping up with the analogy, that's what I'm trying to do with NFTs and people, and mixing what people already know and not just talking nonsense to them of stuff that they don't have no clue about. So yeah.
Man, I love that. Especially the part you said, it's more than just it's not a JPEG, it's an experience. It's supposed to be an experience. It's supposed to be an experience on how you transact, and it's supposed to be an experience on how you take in art. And I couldn't agree more with you, actually. Deeply resonate with that point, because that was what I presented at NFT NYC. My position is that we really shouldn't even be appreciating the art on phones. It really should be a much more immersive experience, whether that is AR, whether that is VR, because that's where you really get the real essence of how beautiful this technology can be. Speaking about experiences, what has been one of your favorite events in Latin America that you have been a part of? I know you mentioned some.
I would say the first one I went to, Blockchain Summit in Panama, 2022. I remember like being called to this event. I was like, what do you mean? We just got into NFTs. We're kind of like just learning how this works, and we get called for an international exhibition where we had our NFTs and we had a bunch of other artists, but we were also becoming part of the community. And I've mentioned this before. I've been painting for a while, but I didn't feel I was an artist until that year, until I had the chance to go to the Blockchain Summit in Panama. That's where I felt it was like where it all clicked in. I've had other moments where I felt like, oh yeah, I should do art. I should pursue this. But after that one event, I was like, oh crap, I'm an artist. How cool is this? I started believing it. I started believing in myself for that. And I would say, even though it was the first one and there was a bunch of things that could have been done better, it was still a great experience to get to know friends and seeing how the community really works. And I say this because after that event, I started connecting with a whole bunch of people. I've taught more than 50 people how to do AR. I've talked to more than 100 people about NFTs. So that was literally the moment where it kind of started moving on its own, where people started evaluating not only, and this is key of what we're doing today, not only the rat and the painting and the Mickey Mouse and the Marlboro, but the person behind it, which is me at the end of the day. And so, yeah, that was I would say that was one of the main ones. But also the Crypto Latin Fest, that was so much fun. And yeah, the other experiences that I've had by not being there, and that sounds funny, but that's something I value out of the technology. I was in an expo in Barcelona, I was in Lisbon recently, and some other town in Portugal. I've never been to Portugal. How crazy is that? I've been exhibiting some of my work in places that I haven't been to. So even though I wasn't a part of that, that's also something that I recall and I value out of this whole NFT world. You don't have to be there, but you are. Your paintings are there. Your artwork is there. Your essence is there. So yeah, it's been fun. But yeah, the blockchain summit back in in Panama was really fun. That was definitely the event that called it out. But if you ask me what's my favorite event out of Latin America, I don't know if that's the next question. Definitely NFT NYC. And a bunch of people were like, "Oh, but NFT NYC before it was better." I'm like, "I don't care, buddy. I like the one I went to. That's where I met my friends. The one I didn't go to, I have no clue. I bet it was great, but the one I really liked was the one that I was actually in. It felt surreal. I still talk about it and try to go back to those days or looking at pictures from NFT NYC this year. And I was like, was that for real? Did I really go there? Or was it just dreaming where I probably drank too much or whatever. And I woke up 3 days after like, oh crap, yeah, that didn't happen. And it did. And this year, and Jenny talked about this in space, I think it was yesterday. This year, after I saw Carlos and Jenny and the kids looking at their artwork in freaking New York for everybody, I was like, Times Square? I see that in movies, you know? I know Jenny grew up in New York, but everybody else is basically, we see New York in the movies and the series and stuff like that. And I was like, I gotta get there. It gives me something to look forward to. And there was so much love and like family love, just sharing that moment with Jenny, and they were there. We took pictures of them and then we sent them to them. And it was just beautiful to be there and share that with the community. So hopefully I make it back to NFT NYC 2024. If I don't, I'll still support everybody that does. I'll probably try to get myself there as well. But that's what I'm looking forward to now is getting back to NFT NYC. I think that's the place to be, at least for this. Of course, every other event that we do is part of building the community, but NFT NYC really put it up there for what I did. And for showing your art. They had the WIM screens there where all of our NFTs were being shown. And I just participated in their open call for the WIM exhibition that they're having this September 21st. And I made it to that expo as well. And I'm like, wow, man, this NFT NYC was amazing. I feel like I'm still living part of that NFT NYC experience 6 months after.
Yeah, it was magical. I feel you. I'm still riding off of that a little bit too myself. And yeah, it really was a magical, warm experience. And I actually went the year prior and it was not it. So whoever told you that, I don't know what experience they had. It was very vendor focused. It wasn't art focused. So the year that you went was this year, that was the one. So feel you on that.
That's funny because every time we talk about NFTs, it's like that year we went to NFT. That was 6 months ago, but it feels like ages. It feels like
time is just different,
insane.
In Web3 world.
I do gotta say, NFT, the screens, New York was beautiful, but being there with my friends, like the people that have been with me since day one, that has been really fun. I mean, the first trip I took outside for art was Miami. Jules Zapata was there with me. Then we went to Panama. He was there with me as well. And then we ended up going to New York, and he was there as well. And of course, Luco was there too. But just seeing those like interactions, it's like, dude, where are we? Like, we were just in Bogota painting some walls in San Felipe, which is a big neighborhood here for art. But now we're in New York, and we just did a graffiti with Eddie Gangland and the crew in Bushwick. I think we're gonna go to jail. But no, nothing happened. Everything was so beautiful. I was like, what is this? I feel like it's more legal here than it is back in my home country.
That is awesome, man. I definitely got to make it out to NFT NYC next year because I couldn't go this year. We had too many like other trips and conflicts or whatever. But definitely manifesting that 2024 I'll be there as well because I heard your stories, heard stories from Jenny, Carlos, a bunch of people, and like, yeah, I gotta make it out there for sure. One thing I did want to ask you about, because talking about a little bit about travel, on Instagram, I know you've shared like a lot of pictures of yourself in a lot of places, like all over the world, right? So I saw some there about you at like Zion National Park, Barcelona, obviously NYC, which we were talking about, Paris, Panama. So far, what do you think has been like your favorite trip so far of the vacations that you've done? And also, if there's anywhere you could go in the world next, where would you go?
What a tough question. What has been my favorite vacation ever? Wow, I would not know right at the top of my head, but I'm gonna give it some thought and probably come up with something. But maybe, I will say that one trip to the Zion National Park, which was recently, was beautiful. I had the chance to go with my best friend from high school, Juancho, and that was really nice. But I'm gonna bring that back to 2016, 2017. Being at the Camp Nou, Barcelona, with my friend from high school, again Juancho. I'll probably say those were the 10 best days of my life. It was really nice to be there with my friend, and just, I mean, we come up from Miami, but like Miami-Dade, we went to school there. It was more of like regular high school kid life, and just seeing that we can get ourselves to achieve our dreams and go to places we want to go. Yeah, that was real nice. I was watching Messi, who made 2 goals that day. I'm not a fan of Barcelona as a team. Like, I could not care less about them. Like, who cares? It's another team. But Messi, he's one of the greatest of all time. And having the chance to be there with my friends and stuff, I would say Barcelona was one of the best trips of my life. I do have to say, New York blew my mind. Like the first time I was there right before the pandemic, I was blown away. I've never been or had so much fun in one particular city because of like everything that there is to do. But I would do call back to that Barcelona trip. But yeah, I like traveling. It's in my DNA. My parents made me move every year until I was 17. So I lived everywhere, and that's all I know how to do. I know how to get in a plane, get in a car, and going to meet new people, new cultures. Yeah, just talk to people, just see different things. I'm very curious. I mean, it's part of what I do. I like to see what's on the other side. I don't even know why I go there, but that's what I like doing, and eating local food. And I'm also a big fan of learning like different languages. So I speak a bit of French. I did Italian when I was in high school, and I practiced it for a little bit, and then
Italy.
Let's go. And even Catalan, I picked up a bit of Catalan while I was living in Barcelona because I worked at a Catalan business school, and man, it's so tough. But it sounds pretty, so I was just interested into what people do. I don't judge. I don't care if you're white, black, red. Man, I don't care. If you got good vibes, we're vibing. If I don't understand your language, I could probably put a soccer ball on the floor, and we most likely would understand each other. So yeah, that's what I do. I like going around. I like football. I like soccer, or soccer in this case because we're in America. And talking and getting to know other cultures and other people. I have a tattoo on my arm that says, it reads out, "I am from here," in Espanol. Yo soy de aquí. And that's I'm from this world. That's how I see it. So I just like getting to know other people and seeing how they do their own thing, and music is a big part of that. So yeah, being able to travel around the world so far, I haven't been that many places, but I have, and I want to keep doing it. And hopefully, I can do that through art. And it's fun that you asked me this now, because NFTs, like the money that you make out of that NFT, some people live out of that. I use that for traveling. That's basically what I've been doing with the money out of NFTs, and that makes me really proud of myself because it's something that I do for fun, and that it gives me money to keep having fun. So why not? Win-win again. So yeah, traveling is a big part of what I do.
I love that. And you should be very proud of yourself. And you mentioned music just now. I know you're a Mac Miller fan. If you had to choose your favorite song of his, what would it be?
ROS, Ross, from the Good AM. Mac Miller, I'm a big fan of Mac Miller. I'm a big fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm a big fan of country music as well.
Huge Red Hot Chili Peppers fan.
I'm
Red
a
Hot
big
Chili
fan
Peppers is
of.
my favorite band.
There you go. That's my people. Um, I'm a big fan of Metallica. I was talking about that yesterday. I like electronic music. I like folk music from Colombia. I like everything. But if I had to pick one song from Mac Miller's bunch of songs, I'll pick ROS, Ross. I feel it's beautiful. And Scar Tissue. Scar Tissue for the Red Hot Chili Peppers is my favorite song in the world.
Here, listen,
Yeah.
hold on.
Yay, we've got audio. Let's go.
Oh man, for sure.
Here we go. Oh God.
She's playing.
There. Scar tissue.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah. I've actually seen
No
them.
man,
I've seen them perform
that's
twice.
awesome.
Yeah, I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers so much.
Yeah, now that we talk about music, that might be one of my favorite trips. If I have to rethink this, back last year, August 30th, which is around the corner for a year of that. I'm a big fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I'm only 32 years old. So they split up when I was 14. I didn't have the money or like the means to go to any of their shows. I saw them once here in Bogota, first row. You know, I went there like 15 hours earlier for the show to see Flea. I play the bass as well, and
Nice.
of course, Flea was my biggest influence. But John Frusciante wasn't there, the main guitarist, the lead guitarist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And last year, they got back together, and I had the chance to go again with my friend Juancho and my friends from high school. I mean, now being 31 years old, to relive high school all over again. And that was beautiful. Just to be there with my friends, Red Hot Chili Peppers, John Frusciante back in the band. It felt like everything was where it should be. I felt like I was in heaven for a little bit. You know, my friends were there. John Frusciante was back in the band. I was in Miami. I mean, it's like my hometown for a little bit, and I for that moment I felt everything was in the right place at the right time in the world. So thank you for playing that. I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I really do, and the fact that you played the first notes of that one song really made me emotional. Thank you for that.
what? It made you emotional? I could do it better. There.
Amazing, for real. How great is that? Thank you so much. This is the music I put on when I'm wakeboarding. I also like wakeboarding. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Oh, cool.
I'm into water sports. And whenever I'm wakeboarding, I'll put on. We got this like headset on our little thing to take care of our heads, and we can play music there, and we can also intercom with the people in the boat. And yeah, that's my playlist. That's the stuff I used to go either skating. I skated when I was a kid, but I sucked, and I dropped it after like when I was like 20 years old. I said, yeah, I can't pop an ollie. It's been 5 years. I think I'm gonna drop this. And but I still like jumping around, and wakeboarding gave me that again. You know, it's like skateboarding, but you don't break your legs or your arms when you fall because you're doing it behind a boat. So that's the music I play. Great question. I'm a big fan of music. Thank you, John Carter, for that.
Oh, actually, well, Jenny, but yeah, no, it's awesome.
Same thing.
Thank you, Jenny, for that. Sorry.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna ask this question, then we'll try to hit up some of the people that are in the speaker panel here from the Twitter space or X space, whatever we're calling it nowadays. What are your top 3 movies of all time?
Top 3 movies. One of those would be Spy Game. Spy Game with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. Definitely, most definitely, The Lion King. It's gotta be up there.
We are connected.
I've probably watched that movie 100 times. I don't know, 200 times. I had it on Betamax. I don't know if I'm too old for you. Remember Betamax before VHS?
Betamax, yep.
Horrible, Jenny. I mean, the fact that you don't know what this is makes me feel.
You too.
I know, but
what?
yeah, but this is not because I'm old. This is what we had at home. You know, my parents are like VHS. We're not doing that. We're doing the Betamax, and they kept that until like 2015 or something. You know, like,
Wow.
I learned about DVDs recently.
Wow.
So yeah, Spy Game. I would say, The Lion King, and probably like some really corny movie like Midnight in Paris or something like that. You know.
That's great.
That's not.
I love it.
Three favorite movies, yeah.
And I love that, like, you mentioned like the Lion King, you know, because before you were talking about like keeping that connection to like your youth, your childhood, you know. So I probably have seen that movie over 100 times too. Like I grew up as a kid like watching it, and I had like, the stuffed animals and the toys and playing. You know, yeah, I loved it. And then watching it again with my kids, you know, has been like a really cool thing too. You know, it's like re-experiencing a lot of those movies again. So that's awesome. All right, so
just the first one. No, Lion King 2, 1.5, all of that crap they came out with after. No, forget that.
None of that.
The regular Lion King, the number one, the one that we had, that then they redid with computer generated images.
For what?
And it was nice, but I'd rather watch the original one, cartoon one.
Awesome. All right. So I had written down people's names here before from when I saw them come up. So I was going to kind of respect that order. Although I do see Carlos has his hand up as well, but we'll try to get to you. I think, Nikki, if you're still available, I see you're up on the speaker pad. I think you were one of the first ones that had joined before. How you doing? Happy Friday.
Hey, happy Friday. How's everyone?
Doing well.
All right. So first I want to say thank you, Giancarlo and Jennifer, for having this space and everything that you do. I like to say hi to Ryan, Carlos, Anna, Luco, Drain, David. I'm probably missing some names here. But hello everyone. I hope your day is going well. And I want to say, Judasaca, I'm happy that you came on to tell your story, to tell your journey. And I thought it was brilliant that you use a classic like Mickey Mouse to add a spin on it. And then I also see the numbers 444 and 333 and what they mean. And having the collector, also come up with a meaning to what you're presenting. I think that's wonderful, and that you incorporate pop culture into your creations. And then something that you were saying about how you're bringing NFTs to the community, and I thought that's important. And the way you bring it, as far as bringing it to them to where they can relate, saying this is art. And this is art that we're presenting into a digital format. And I think that it's important for us to become diverse in what we are doing, as far as, you have the traditional artists, you have digital, and you have the NFTs. And, you can have the best of both worlds, and that traditional art can be put into a digital format like an NFT. And it's easy, it's benefits of doing that, because the amount of users that you can reach, and not only that, where you can take this digital NFT. If you have it on the phone, you can have it pretty much anywhere that you go. Whereas if you have it as a canvas, I mean, it's beautiful to look at it, in person and see it, but you're kind of limited to that place to see it, unless you have it in multiple places. But if it's an NFT format, it's with you pretty much all the time if you have your phone with you. And then also connections. I really want to just, I can relate to you so much on connections, because I have met so many beautiful people here in this space, and connections are so important. It makes this environment and this space even more enjoyable. And then one thing I want to add about the Lion King. So Lion King was one of my younger sister's favorite movie. I can recall just coming in the living room. Well, I could hear it in my bedroom. I hear it playing, just coming in the living room, seeing her, look at the movie. And then Pocahontas was another one. Like, she used to play Pocahontas a lot. So I just want to say that it was very enjoyable. Listening to you, listening to your journey, listening to what kind of music you like, listening to where you travel. It was very, very interesting. And then also what you provide to this community, the NFT or Web3 or Web2. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikki. For real, I love connecting, as you say, with the movies, with the music, and as Giancarlo and Jenny introduced us, that's basically what we're doing here. For me, this is an art form in itself. Jenny and Giancarlo doing this for weeks now. This is episode 41, and that just shows that consistency is key. But again, and we see it from Giancarlo and Jennifer, if we have some company to do that, it's always better like that. So that's what it's all about. Being able, as you said, to create those bridges, those links between traditional art, which is what we know. Everybody knows traditional art. I mean, we've been in this world for quite a long time. But digital art, not yet. We're not there yet. Not everybody knows about it. So being able to create those links is key. I feel as a community, we have to bring more people in by allowing them to see how it works. Funny enough, recently we talked about the restrictions of physical artwork. Like you have to deliver it, it has to be taken care of. You have to wrap it up. You have to get it back. You have to put it up. You have to stretch canvases, and that's a lot of work. I like it. I enjoy it, but it's really restrictive. And the NFTs, as you say, with an internet connection, we have access to them. I have access to all of my collections, all of my portfolio, all of my artwork just in the palm of my hand. Eventually, it's going to be in VR. But yeah, I believe that we have to keep translating and keep working on developing that market, the untouched market. Now, some people don't care about NFTs. And I was talking to a gallerist this last week, and he's like, "But what do we do with the people that don't care about this?" I said, "Leave them alone." Like, what the hell? I don't like a whole bunch of things, and I don't like people talking to me about that. Just drop it. Let's talk to the people that are interested. And eventually, the more people that come in, it might create some interest in others, and then they would ask. And we're still going to be here so we can answer those questions. But trying to evangelize people and trying to bring them into the NFT world just because, like, running into people in the street, like, do you know what an NFT is? Maybe not. Let's do that with people who are interested in NFTs.
If anything, it'll probably accomplish the opposite, right? The bad experience of somebody trying to like sell them on this thing and be like, I don't want anything to do with that. But you're right. I think that's so true.
Yep.
Oh, thank you so much, Nikki. Really appreciate you coming up and saying those kind words. And I'm so glad we're connected. I'm glad I also was able to get one of your pieces recently. Cam was nice enough to sell it to me. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. So always love having you here on the space, and I'm loving seeing all the creations you've been making lately as well. So appreciate having you here, Nikki.
Thank you so much, Giancarlo. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. All right, I was gonna go next.
We love you.
We do. I was gonna go next to Angel Artist. How you doing today? Happy Friday.
Yeah, hello, happy Friday. First of all, I have to say that I'm Colombian too. So I'm very happy to hear about Judasaca, man. That's a nice boy. Well, I'm from other generation. I got 62 years. But anyway, I'm an artist for all lifetime. And well, studied in Paris. And I had a question for you, mi querido hermano. I'm going to do it in Spanish and in English. The question is, how do you relate your ancestral nation with your work, with your actual work? All these legado, hermano, that we have as Colombians. Well, it was in English.
Oh, that's actually a great question. How do I connect back to my country? That's a tough one because it's indirect. It's indirect in the sense that, and I kind of explained this at the beginning. I grew up here in Colombia, and Colombian, colombiano, crecí en Tolú, en la costa, Sucre, Montería, Cartagena. I've lived everywhere. But when they try to sell you the States and you're 12 years old or 11, I mean, my parents they said, Mickey Mouse, and that brought me into that. That also shows how much, as Colombians, we depend, economically speaking, and in terms of what we do, of the Americas, the States as a whole. So I wouldn't say necessarily I portray Colombia into what I do, but there's a lot of Colombia into getting to what I do, if I may. But I would like to say that I do show a little bit more of my background, my Colombian background, but I don't really feel I do necessarily from the artwork. But behind that, the reason to it's because I'm Colombian. If I grew up in the States, Mickey Mouse would just be another character, way different than if you grew up in Latin America. And when we talk about Miami, people say, the first thing you say when you say you're going to Miami, they say, "Oh, you're going to see Mickey Mouse?" It's like that's what we say here. It's culturally speaking, it goes back to that's where we aim to go. Like Latin American people, they want to go to the States. We do it more than I know Latin America. Like I've been to Ecuador and Venezuela and Cuba and Panama, but I haven't been all the way down to like Peru or Argentina and Chile. And it's because we're not raised like that. Whenever we say we want to go abroad, we normally think of the States or Europe, but we rarely say, why don't we go down there to see other people that look exactly like us, that talk the same language? We rarely do that. Now, I'll say 20 years from now, people have started to travel more to South America and even Central America every night and the Caribbean. So yeah, it doesn't show it per se, but it's definitely there in the Colombian culture. ¿De dónde eres, hermanazo Ángel? Un placer, hermano, conocerte. Lo que
Yo
necesites,
soy
a la
de
orden.
Cali, hermano. Soy
Bien.
de Cali.
Cali. Oh,
Y
wow.
bueno, sí,
Firme.
there's something I have to say. You mentioned the word betray. No, it's there's an artist in Colombia. It's called Nadino Spina. It's a very well-known artist, and I think that he betrays using Mickey Mouse exactly because he gets our San Agustin statues that are archaeological, beautiful monuments that the Indians made. Very antique pieces, and he puts the Mickey Mouse face on them, and I always hated that. But your work, I love. It's different. It's fresh. It's nice. It's something that goes with your personality and your story, you know. And that's what I really like from your work. I wanted to say that.
Man, thank you so much. I know you said you're not a big fan of Nadino Spina, but he's put our name out there. And the fact that I'm just in the same phrase, Nadino Spina, you're comparing my work to him, it makes me really, really proud. Yeah, I feel he uses some of our cultural aspects and he tries to create conversations from that. But I don't use any cultural references to portray what we do. It goes more from marketing aspect. It's like if a marketer wanted to do art, you probably end up with me, I guess, like using big brands and using social media to get it across and digital marketing tools and kind of creating that. It's basically what I do. But thank you so much, Angel, for real. Just the fact that you say that you appreciate my work, it makes my day. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ángel. Yo también crecí, yo vivía en Cali también, vivía como por Pance y también en Buga, ahí también paisano de cerca donde Thank you so much for
Yo
coming.
estoy en Roldanillo ahora.
Roldanillo, okay. All right, well, thank you so
Sí,
much.
sí, trabajé en el Museo Rayo.
Oh, wow, chévere.
Sí, sí.
All right, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Angel, for coming up and asking the question, and appreciate you so much. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna go. I think the next person I had actually was our resident guitar player here. Yesterday's tomorrow.
Yay!
How you doing?
Great. Doing some sculpting. Making a mushroom. Here, let me drop a picture of the fucking, I can't remember what they're called, gills. Hold on. But yeah, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Talking to everybody again. It's it's nice to be a part of the art community. This is my first time actually proactively integrating myself into this, and it's liberating and scary and awesome all at the same time.
Oh, lovely to have you. Thank you. And I definitely would like to check out if you want to pin up your sculpture, what you're creating, or any of your other creations. Happy to take a look. And lovely that you're in.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Got any?
I guess you're on mute. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say, can we see a little bit of what she's doing? Like, can you show us a little bit of your sculptures? That's really nice. I do want to thank you again for playing my favorite song in this space. So if this is your first time interacting here, you're doing it the way it's supposed to be done. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to say that as someone from like America, it's really interesting hearing the questions about portraying your nationality through your art, because I think for American culture, our culture is culture that we've taken from other people and just completely gentrified it. And I personally don't like our culture, and I can't imagine making my art off of like the country that I come from, but I recognize that for other people that's like very valid and very important to them. It's just, I don't know, I hate America. I guess.
Okay, but
I have
I mean,
nothing cool to say. Do you have a question? I could do better. I could do better with like a direction here.
No, it's all good, and thank you for sharing how you feel. It's all good, but yeah, no, it's all good. So you know, what was I going to say? Yeah, if you definitely wanted to share a little bit more about your sculpture or a little bit about your art, happy to do that. So other folks can check it out. But I know we do also have a lot of other speakers, so we're probably a little bit short on time. So I did want to move on to the
Let
next
them
person.
go. Yeah.
But definitely feel free to pin up what you're making or any of the other stuff. I'd love to check it out. So I did want to go next.
Cool.
I think I had on my list Judasaca. How you doing? Happy Friday.
Hey,
Who's
family,
that?
how you doing? Here is kind of, I feel like this is a meeting from people from my high school, something like that. But for people from a high school that I love, not people that from a high school that I don't like. So it's really cool to be here. Thank you, Giancarlo, Jenny, for this space. As always, it's amazing. I think Judasaca right now is feeling the same emotion that I felt when I was one of your guests here, because it's really cool to you make like all the study for these spaces. You get to know a lot of us, your guests, and it's really cool to be interviewed by you. So first part is to say thank you for this. Thank you all for being here too. And Huasaka, I didn't have to listen to all this because I think we met a long time ago, but has been only like 3 or 4 years. But man, we met all the time. We paint all the time. We are making projects together, and it's really cool to see you here. And I just wanted to come up and say that this guy is helping us build a strong community here in Bogota, in Colombia. We are working together and creating spaces for people to know more about the NFTs, to know about the culture, and most importantly, to know about the community, to know how we grow together. We are going to talks with panels with the Chamber of Commerce here in Bogota. We are making our own events to promote new artists and upcoming artists and physical art artists into Web3. So this guy here is a builder. He's a really creative person, really good friend, really bad drinker. And the only question that I have after this is when are we going to paint the next wall, man? I think I'm going to go to the Oxo and paint the first graffiti I made. I want to remake it. So are we in or what?
For sure. I do have to say, and with all the love to everybody that's helped me and the people that know me and Joseph, it's a bromance. I see him as my big brother half of the time, and then I see him as a little kid the other half of the time. He's sick right now. I'm glad to hear you, buddy, but you do sound a bit sick today. I hope you get better. Thank you for those words, man. You know how much I appreciate you. I love working with you. It's been insanely fun, and as you say, we're building, we're creating, and moving the conversation down here in Bogota. As Yusef said, we've been working together to create Chromaverse, which was like an organic experience that literally came up in a library, and now we're gonna have a couple more interactions with Chromaverse this 21st of September. We have on August 30th next week, we have a chat with the Chamber of Commerce with the Go Fest. It's like a reunion of entrepreneurs and people that use technology to change the world. So I'm really happy to be a part of that as well. And
We're going to Medellin.
yeah, we're going to Medellin for Hola Metaverso on the 15th of this month. So yeah, I mean, we don't want to stop, consistency. And that's something that if you don't have it, try to follow Drew Zapata. He's pushed me, he's helped me to keep going and stay consistent. So I'm really thankful for you, buddy, For real. You're the real deal. If you don't follow Judasaca, do so now. Like if you're in this space and you don't follow the Pigeon Master,
Right?
please, yeah, like what the hell?
Just
Like,
do
who
it.
are you?
Yeah.
No, I'm
Give
just
him a
kidding.
follow.
Give him a follow. Fall in love with the palometas and jump into that craziness and creativity that comes from Giuseppe's work. And answering to your question, buddy, I saw a wall yesterday. But I'm not going to talk about streets now in the sense of like location. But yeah, we should most definitely talk about that. I want to redo my graffiti that I painted. I think it was like January of this year on 127th. So you're more than welcome to come and help and hand out, like pass me the cans and stuff. Like an assistant. I'm joking, buddy.
No, I think I need to get out of this flu that I have. I need the smell of spray cans. That will
Yeah,
be
that'll
really
help,
good for
right?
me for my lungs.
That's what you need, right? I mean, it's Friday. I don't know if like a couple of drinks will help you with your flu,
Yeah,
but
some
who
aguardiente,
knows?
aguardiente with salt and
Aguardiente
lemon.
y
Talking to
spray
Giuseppe
cans.
on Friday, it's impossible. Like Jew on Fridays, he's like, Guaro, you gotta go drink.
100%. Well, thank you so much for coming up, Sabata. It's always a pleasure having you here. I hope you feel better soon, and hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday, your weekend as well, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go next to my hermano Luco. How you doing, brother? Happy Friday.
Yo, fam, happy Friday. What's going on? Dímelo, familia.
Oh,
Aquí
hermanito.
bien.
That's good.
Oh, brother.
I'm super emotional, man. And today, it's like, I'm just so happy. I have to give you the flowers, of course, as first of all, Giancarlo and Jennifer for do this beautiful space always. And let us and let the community like meet more amazing people, amazing artists that are doing such amazing things. And as you said, my bro, as Judasaca is a really community builder, man. Like all the things he do and all the help that he provide to the whole world. Like not only here, like in the NFT and the art space, like in his life. Like he's a teacher and he has students and he's like doing amazing stuff as a teacher for students' lives beside the art and all this stuff. And I just wanted to came up and say hello and say, of course, my G. I have so much love for these two guys. I have to say the truth. They are my fam. Like and this month of August, I have been super emotional because 1 year ago I met these guys. Like, and I really can't believe all the things that we have been done together, all the things that we are working on together in the NFT space, in the real space, in everywhere, like in the murals, like hanging out, like partying, like these days that we were in the Crypto Latin Fest. Like, it's like the real connections that I am super grateful to have. And definitely I have to say, and I want to ask Judasaca, bro, which what comes next, like in the street art, like from your thoughts, like what is the next level, man? Like a mural with AR, like a real life on active mural, like what are your thoughts about, like with the technology and all this stuff? What comes from us to the street artists to work on, and how do you see this? And well, thank you for the space. I always super pleasure to know more about him. He's my G. I hang out a lot with him. With doing no art, like hanging only out and well having the vibes and the hack vibes. You know what I mean? So big love to all of you, and I really appreciate my fam, and I'm super grateful and happy to have them. They are my teacher's life. I am the little guy from these three, so I am always learning from them all the things of life. So I appreciate you. Los quiero, mis hermanos.
My G, man, Luco, thank you so much for those kind words. If you don't follow Luco, you're doing it wrong. Go follow Luco. He's amazing. He's omnipresent. If you don't believe in God, I think he works with Luco. This guy is in every space as a speaker all day long. He's a great participant of the community. He understood this quite quickly, and I do say this because we have tried to help, and I include Joseph in this, a bunch of artists, and they all think that going into the NFT space is about what you get back from the community, and people don't understand that. But communities are not built like that. Communities are about what you bring into the community. If not, then it doesn't work. You can't just come here and ask for stuff if you're not giving in or adding to that community. My boy Luco, he says we're his teachers or whatever he says, and I'm gonna take that as a yes. We are. We've taught Luco some things, but Luco motivates us and inspires us to live from what you like to do. This kid is an artist. He's studying art. He's about to finish his bachelor in art, whatever he's studying, but arts at the end of the day. And he today talks to his professors and says, "Hey, I haven't graduated yet, but I'm already making some great connections, and I'm already an artist, and this is what I do." And that inspires me. I mean, I would have loved to study art, but I chose other things because of society. I like what I do still, but Luco, you're inspirational to everybody. I feel once everybody gets to know you, feeling and seeing the reactions of other people when they meet you and when they put a face to your logo, it's super nice. I mean, from the outside, buddy, I tell you, it's super nice. So we like you a lot, of course. You're a small brother, bit young brother, if we may. But yeah, I mean, Luca and I, we're big bros. We hang out together. We party together. We do art together. We've done some collabs. You asked me a really cool question, Luco. How do I see the street art into this whole NFT world in a way, or what do I see the future of that is? And I'll tell you right off the bat how I see it. When I did a really cool graffiti with my good friend Judasaca right before we went to NFT NYC, and we were really happy about it. It was really colorful, but it's the streets, you know. So some other artist decided, he's an asshole. He decided to go and cover up our graffiti just because. And I kind of laughed at that, you know. I got mad for a little bit. I was like, oh man, forget these people. But then I said, we have pictures of it and we could do this and put it out there on the NFT world. So I'm thinking that we're now going to start creating street art that doesn't last for as long as people want. It lasts for as long as the blockchain wants. So we're going to start putting up walls and hopefully being able to paint them in VR. And we've done a couple of those, Luco, you and I, and Jufo as well. And that's how I see this. That's where I see it going. So it's not so like street art is only there for a couple of weeks or months or years. No one knows. But once we're able to pass from the street to the NFT world, that's pretty amazing. Some of my artwork on the streets is in this metaverse, called Habitat. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. And they use some of that to basically create spaces. And part of that is the street. So they decorate, and I'll put that in quotations, the streets with our art. Some of Jusapata's work is there as well. So that's where I see this going. To walls that are not painted by other people, and allowing the graffiti artists to finally, I mean, I like the streets as well, but finally maybe put your work out there. You know, you're a graffiti artist, you do some great stuff in the streets. Don't you want to sell that? Don't you maybe want to show that to other people? I mean, if I'm not in Bogota in this corner at this time, I might not see it, and it becomes, it just fades away. Blockchain keeps that forever, and I believe that a lot of the graffiti artists will start looking into these new opportunities as ways to live out of what they do, and not just go paint for fun. And yeah, that's the way I feel it. Some graffiti artists will never jump into this space, and that's fine too. You know, they can be on the streets. I don't mind. But the way I see it is definitely doing some graffiti work in the metaverse, or passing some of the graffiti work that we do on the streets to the blockchain, and allowing people to own that. Jusapata sold one of his graffitis as an NFT, and that kind of creates that longevity of the wall, you know, the art that we left there, not just for the couple of years or days or whatever that they do, but leaving it for ages. That's the way I see it, Luco. We're gonna be painting a new wall soon, so get your cans ready, the beer cans.
Loved it, bro. Sure, for sure, bro. Thanks for that response. So let's get the vibe, bro, and let's paint some NFT graffitis then. Big love to you, my fam. So thank you all, Jenny, Giancarlo, hermanos. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm going super, super happy and full of inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Luco. Thanks for always bringing the vibes, man. Always appreciate that. And much love to you too, brother. Have a great day. All right. Next person I had on the list was Riyadh. How you doing?
Yeah, bro. Hope you're doing great.
Happy Friday, my friend.
Happy Friday, man. Actually, I'm just amazed by the artwork and amazed by Judah. I believe this is the first time we have conversation and listening to him just like in details, just like today. Actually, I would love to ask him questions as an artist. Actually, I see the style, the colors, the vibration. He has a combination of colors. Sorry for my English. Judah, I would love to ask you, as a Colombian artist who already migrated to USA, of course, you have two cultures already you get introduced to. So for you as an artist, how this impact you, the artist, by mixing the style and creating this amazing artwork? Would you like to tell us about this journey, of course, and how it affects your art in the end? And I love this Mickey Mouse concept.
Hey, Riyad, so nice to finally talk to you. As you say, we've been in spaces together, but not necessarily speaking to one another. So I'm really happy and humbled to meet you. Yeah, I mean, I have like part of me is Colombian, part of me is a bit American, even though I only lived there for a couple of years, like 6 years, and I go back every year now, and I spend, I'll say, every period of vacation that I have visiting my mom in Central Florida. I talked to Giancarlo recently about maybe going to meet him, but I mean, geography, it's hard. How do I mix these two? Even in Colombia, I've lived everywhere. Like in Colombia, I'm also like weird in the sense that I look like I'm from one place, but my cultural aspects and what I like are from the coast. And in our country, like I guess, like just like the States, Colombia, we have very diverse regions. So like if you're from the coast, you speak like Judasaca. If you're from the inner part of the country, you speak like me. But I'm a mixture of all of that. And I'm also American. So like when I'm talking to my friends, I'll say some things in English, and people will be like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just how it goes. I'm bilingual, and that's kind of how it flows. That's just how I speak, and I believe it's like that whole mixture of everything. It's literally what I show in my work. Like sometimes it's clean, but most of the time it's work that has a lot of connotations to it. Is Colombia, is fucking politics, is cigarettes and consumption and mass consumption, but it's also Mickey Mouse, which is happiness and being a little kid, but it's also looking into the future with the AR. Of course, Mickey Mouse is American. I mean, one cannot deny that. Marlboro, kind of, not really, but yes as well. And putting all of that together creates me. I'd say that's the cultural aspect of me. It's not like I can show my Colombian side or show my American or South Florida or Central Floridian side. No, it's all in one, and it's just how it goes. I've learned to love Central Florida more now. I mean, a lot more now than I did as a kid. But when I'm there, I feel like, oh yeah, this is what I know. When I'm in Colombia, I like traveling around also, and when I go places, I feel home. So just realizing that instead of looking for a home, it's realizing that home can be anywhere, and that's what I do. So yeah, I just put it all in together in my head, which is kind of crazy, and I try to put that into art, and that's what I create. Sometimes I like talking to people. I feel that's a way of creating art. Sometimes I just stay by myself quietly, listening to music. That's also part of what I do. Sometimes I go and look at other people's work, and I get inspired by what they do, and I try to put all of that together into the rap, the art, and the colors that I use behind that. For the abstract work that I did on Tessos, you could see a lot more of that. I go not necessarily to Basquiat or Keith Haring, which I love, or Warhol, but I'll go all over the place. I'm looking for inspiration. I'm gonna go read, and I'm very curious, so I read a lot. I go back to like what's happening in art, what happened in art, what people were trying to create, and a lot of that resonates with maybe not having to die to live out of what you do, and that's sometimes what you get from artists. And I was talking to Luco about this yesterday, and I said, just breaking the rule of having to be really old or making a whole bunch of stuff before you can actually sell artwork, that shows the importance of technology. So I'm just putting all of that together. I'm not an artist per se. I didn't study art. But now, I mean, 5 years after, it's pretty much like I did. You know, I've been doing this for a while. If I did a bachelor's, it would be 4 or 5 years, or 2 or 3 years, depending on where you go. So I think I've graduated from that already, and I try to put all of that, whatever it is, into my work. I do paint as I feel. The latest NFT drop collection series that I did on Foundation, it's out there. I dropped it last night. um I've been going through some stuff, emotionally speaking, like family stuff, whatever, and that I just kind of let it go, and I started painting, changing colors, and normally I would go back to like changing colors of things, but in that moment that's how I felt, and I just started drawing and doodling over it, and yeah, showing my emotions. I feel it's, and we started talking about this earlier today. It's part of something that I would like to change into my life. As a, I would say, as a man, not because girls don't do this, but men don't speak about their feelings that much, and neither do I. But if I can show that through my art, then I will, and I try to put all of me into my artwork. Yeah. Now that you're showing this one, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we put it up here on the Twitter space. Now we're talking about this drop, and I mean, if you guys get to look at it, I'm gonna have 6 pieces, and between the 6 collectors, I mean, one can buy all 6, but it's not the whole idea. I'll be gifting out. I'll be doing a raffle for an animated one-of-one NFT as well. So just trying to get in those different conversations. This is one that comes from the colors of influence, and basically the influence that goes into our heads, into our way of thinking, how we sometimes we let stuff from outside put us down, but then it reminds us that we're still we. I mean, this is what we do. We probably get a couple of scars, and we probably, get hurt. But at the end of the day, we're still here. It's still Mickey Mouse. It's some things are still going to be the same, even though they have to change. And changing them and accepting that is part of what I wanted to portray in this one. So yeah, it's basically expressing who one is. Hopefully, I keep that forever.
Well, thank you, Riyad, for coming up and asking that question, and love the answer, Judasaca. Definitely was beautiful. I think I had Carlos next. How you doing, brother?
I'm awesome, enjoying the space. Happy to be here. Just listen to my brother Juan. Cannot be more expressive how we connect and how we feel when we see each other for the first time. Was like I just looking at my nephew or my little brother, but the feeling was mutual and excitement. It's like an explosion of feelings when you just basically connect with you guys, you, Luco, and basically was like I feel like I know this guy just forever. This is so much fun to hang out with you guys, not only for the creativity side, but it's how much color and vibrant feelings you bring to the conversation, and just interact with you guys was like, this is my family. And to share with you those special moments that were happen to me in New York was like a memory that is gonna stay with my kids, with my wife Jen, and basically with me for the rest of my life. And then that was a brilliant excitement to me to just share those moments with you guys, especially you, Juan, because you put so much love in what you do. I just want to give you your flowers and be really um, brief. I just want to say thank you for bringing that positivity, those feelings and those colors through you are to the community. Thank you so much.
Oh man, Carlos, really, you make me emotional just hearing this, because I do remember seeing Carlos at the hotel, and I just felt like I knew him forever. Like, you know, when you meet people, you're like, oh yeah, whatever. But Carlos, I felt like I've known for ages, and I love the fact that you called me. Like, it's the same feeling you get when you see a nephew or something that you haven't seen for a while. That's very touching. I mean, we're friends. I've kept up with your conversations, and Jen was talking how you guys went to NFT NYC in 2022, and you didn't go as artists or anything like that. You were just there. And then she's, you know, tells the story way better than I do. But basically, like Carlos and Jenny were like, "Hey, we should do this for real. You know, I want to go back to painting." Carlos comes from physical artwork as well. And then 1 year later, with the help of his community, which is home, it's family, right? We say family all the time. Once we start getting a tight community, it's like family. And seeing that support from you four guys, it's a beautiful family. I love seeing you guys. Um, and then just seeing that in 1 year, one can achieve whatever we want, that's insane. But I'm not gonna lie, we can achieve whatever we want, but we also need support from our friends, our family, and this community that every time is tighter than ever. So Carlos, man, you know how much I appreciate you, appreciate your words and being able to share that one moment. But most likely we're gonna keep sharing moments like those for the time to come. So that's what we're doing. We're rocking it. Thank you for seeing all of that. The nice things you say about me, it really humbles me down and makes me proud of myself in a way of portraying like good things to other people. So I'm happy to hear what you said and yeah, we definitely gonna keep rocking it. Carlos, gracias hermano.
Siempre un placer, saber que te quiero y no hay nada que te detenga y sigue llegando todos tus logros y sigue trayendo ese espíritu positivo y las cosas buenas siempre llegan cuando se hacen con buenas intenciones.
You gotta do everything with love. That's what my mom taught me. If you're not gonna do it with love, don't do it. She wasn't so nice about that. I mean, this is something I got afterwards. But eventually I learned that it was love is all. But she wasn't always that nice about it. But I understood it after a bunch of years.
Intention, good intentions. When you bring good intentions, always good things come to you. And then I think that's one of the key in the space. When you support, when you bring that energy, there is changing life from other people, different perspective, and then now totally different approach to what we see. And then when you feel that community grounded that way, and then you see every good thing happen to you in a short period of time, you know, like my number one supporter is Jen, you know, but I spend a lot of hours in solitude just drawing. And she knows, like, sometimes she just pop out the head in the garage and see me drawing, and she just look at me and just come back into the spaces or do whatever she's doing. And in those moments, I don't even know if I'm there or where I am. I just lost myself in translation and just enjoy that part. But the thing that I enjoy the most is when I have a community behind me. They enjoy what I create because I put a lot of love and intention on it. Yeah, I think that's what brings us together because we love what we do.
Definitely, we love what we do, and I love what I do. I love teaching. I love art, and if I didn't, I probably wouldn't do it. So yeah, Carlos, I think we connect on that. Is and when you say that you space out, I feel like I do the same. I don't know when I'm gonna create. Like I don't know if I'm gonna paint tomorrow or today. It just comes and it puts me away from everything I'm doing, and I love that. I would like to be a little more organized into when am I gonna paint because it doesn't always flow like that. Inspiration or whatever, like just having the time to do so. But when it hits, and I dedicate myself to it, and I see it. Like sometimes if I try to do art, it doesn't really work. But if I just do it, it goes and it flows the way it should. So yeah, thank you for those comments, Carlos, for real. I admire you and appreciate you a lot, essentially because when I first met you, you had presence for us, and they were so very well presented, and that showed the character behind creating art is not only creating it, you also have to sell it in a nice way. You also have to deliver it in a nice way. You also have to create different touch points in terms of your art. And I mean, I got keychains, I got prints, I got everything. And that was really nice, Carlos, for real. I really appreciate that. Yeah, as I said, let's keep rocking.
Yeah, I gotta say, Carlos does a really nice job with those added touches and the prints and even the packaging. I remember I bought an artwork from Carlos for my father-in-law, who happens to be like an eye doctor. He loves eyes, so obviously, I was like, oh, Carlos has the perfect artwork for me to get a gift from my father-in-law. But then the physical art, came, and then like the box was like a piece of art. I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. I'm like, I'm gonna keep this box. Like, it's so nice, But yeah, so I think that's such an important thing, for artists to keep in mind is, that presentation and those little details, it makes a difference for sure, and it has a meaningful impact on the person that you're selling the art to. So I wanted to give you a little bit of flowers there, Carlos, as well, and always appreciate having you on these spaces, and thank you so much for coming up and sharing those kind words and whatnot. So hope you have a wonderful Friday, my friend. And actually, I will be seeing you tomorrow, you and Jenny, so which is cool.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, guy, for having me. I enjoyed to listen to the space. I looking forward every Friday to jump in and see all my friends. You, Luco, Anna, Chaz is there, Jenny, Green Eyes, Jesse, David. I just love to hang out with you guys. It's made me so much joy, especially, when I see Jane just moving forward and just on point. And you, Giancarlo, thank you for your support. And then I'm here to support my community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. All right, I know I got a couple more people I had on the list there. We'll see if we get to them. I see Anna. How you doing, my friend? Happy Friday.
Oh my God, happy Friday. I've been patiently waiting and waiting and waiting. First, happy Friday, guys. Giancarlo, Jenny, Riyadh, Carlos, Yusuf, Luca, and of course, Judasaca. Oh my God, it's been a great space. I mean, I'm here not to ask questions because I have a feeling that you, you you've shared so much about yourself here today, Judasaca, and it's just I love your elaboration on your responses. Like even if it's a silly small question, not silly, if it's a small question, you go in so deep and dive right into it, and just like you could write books, dude. Like this is what you should be doing next. And I have a feeling like that, we've known each other, like you and this familia that I just mentioned, that we've known guys each other for like 2 years. Well, I've been here just 2 years, and I have a feeling that we've been mingling here on Twitter on the X for these last 2 years, and it feels like it's been a decade for me in a good way of saying that. So I'm here just to express appreciation, the friendship and the connection and the mutual appreciation for everything that you guys do in the space, and you, Judasaca, especially. Even though sometimes you don't post as much as I would like to see it. Give me 1 second. My stupid headphones decide to. This is that's how long I've been waiting. My headphones literally go off after 2 hours. Anyway, so it feels like we don't connect as much as I wish the Twitter would show me your algorithm in my feed, but I think because there is this mutual friendships we share in common, I think I'm going to be seeing much more of you, Judasaca. And again, your wisdom, you said you were 32 years old, but you certainly don't sound like you are. At heart, we may be still teenagers. I know I am. But you certainly are wise for your age, and I certainly appreciate that a lot. So what can I say? I wish you lots of success, especially for your latest and greatest drop. For those of you that are listening, please go to his profile and retweet. I'm just saying, don't be hesitant about it. As is, we having difficulties with this stupid algorithm. And most importantly, don't just retweet, say something, because I found I find that the more, and I wrote a post about it yesterday, the more we write something meaningful to each other, the better connection we will build gradually and in time. Even if it's something, a small sentence, say something, because retweets, they honestly don't work. Okay, just comment on my post. That's all I'm asking. And what can I say? I appreciate you, buddy. I really do hope, December, Miami, Art Basel is happening. So far, my plans are not changing, so I cannot wait to meet and greet and give hugs to you and everyone who will be there. So that's that. Happy Friday.
Man, I do gotta say, Anna is such an important reference into what we do. Anna, thank you so much for your kind words. I'm gonna take your comment about posting more in a good way and trying to create more and more content. I do sometimes feel like balancing out between social media and work and creating and promoting and the projects and the IRL exhibitions and all of that can be too much. But I mean, it's never too much if we enjoy what we do. And I do have to get more active, maybe on Twitter and stuff like that. But yeah, luckily, I would say like the quiet space or quiet times means that I'm working as a bull in the back, in the background. So that's been fun. Anna, you've taught me so much about social media interactions, keeping up with the community. I think a lot of us owe you big time for the knowledge that you have given and shared with us always since day one. I mean, we've known each other, as you say, for almost 2 years now, and it feels like a decade. And every time that I think about something well done, and I was reading about your comment you wrote about that yesterday, and it makes a lot of sense. Like every time you raise your hand and you speak, it's like you might want to write that down. It's like you have a really powerful voice in the space, and I'm really thankful for that, and I'm humbled that you're here supporting and that we're creating this familia. And I love that you say that in Spanish, this family that we so much talk and worry for, but it's about adding and of course complementing that community. Thank you so much, Anna, for real. To have you here, it's truly an honor.
It is my absolutely greatest pleasure. Honestly, we can't keep the knowledge within us. If we don't share, like, what's the point of learning it? So I do honestly believe, spread the wealth of knowledge to anyone, whoever wants to have the heart and or ear to listen and accept it. So as far as, trying to be on social media, well, if I can do it, you surely can do it. It's all about, multitasking, managing, and, getting it out there. And, the more the merrier. Funny enough, I don't know how, but Known Origin reached out to me on a DM asking me to write this article about strategies and all of that stuff. I'm like, I don't know.
As they should.
I know it's a lot of work that needs to be put in there. It's easier to talk about it, because it comes from the heart and the mind and the stuff that I do all day, every day. So yeah, of course I'm gonna write it. Hello, and but writing is not my strongest suit. Honestly, it really is not. I mean, uh, but it is pretty exciting, and of course, DM is always open. Feel free to reach out and just ask away, because look, again, if I can share something that I know, please just ask away. And again, we're here as a community. You've said it absolutely perfectly. It's like we can't just be loners on the Web3 space. It's all about the community. I got that long ago, and it's all about the people that surround you, because you become who you surround yourself with. That's first and foremost. And I'm honored and proud that I'm surrounded by such amazing group of people who lift me up constantly, give me love and attention, and like, my God, why wouldn't I give back the same and then some to the rest of you? So I got nothing but love, guys.
So Anna, first and foremost, thank you so much for your patience for waiting. even and then jumping on even after your headset or microphone, whatever, earphones died out. So appreciate that first and foremost. And second, congratulations on them reaching out to you and asking you to write that. And actually, just in light, I'm actually gonna give some advice based on advice that you actually gave us before as well, right? So I think what you should use is leverage some AI tools here to help you out, right? You could actually put on like Otter AI and then just start talking, just like have it record and transcribe everything you're saying, and get all the raw material from that, and then use some Chat GPT to help you do some editing and stuff like that. And I'm sure it'll be fantastic, so because I know you also, when you came on here, you told us like, yeah, let's use AI. There's tools out there, so yeah, I think that can help you out as well. And I can't wait to see what you write for them.
Oh, you bet. I always write in bullet points style first. I outline the key points and then I dive to elaborate on them. That's how I do it. And of course, I'm going to use my best buddy, ChatGPT, to help me elaborate. Of course.
That's right. Let's go.
You know it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Anna. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend. I had two more people on here that I wanted to get to. And I know you got your hand up as well. I don't know if it's something real quick you want to just chime in or.
Just something real quick. I just wanted to corroborate what Anna's saying. She's really, really helpful for anyone. Normally I am like poking her on the end, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's like normally, and she's always willing to help. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I am like trying to do the same. And Judasaca, I know he does the same, and Luco the same. We are all here doing that, so it's amazing to be part of this community.
Yeah, and that's where the value is at, right? Everybody brings something else. Like Judasaca was saying, right? It's not just what can I get out of it, but what can I bring to the table? And when all of us bring something, our own experiences, our knowledge, what we're learning, we all benefit, grow, and improve together, man. So I love that. I do greatly appreciate that from Anna, from you Zapata, from you Judasaca. I mean, all of you guys, everyone that's here. You guys bring so much to this community. I wanted to go to CG Prod next. How you doing? Happy Friday.
Hey y'all, really nice to meet you. Excited to be here. Been listening to amazing stories and amazing community that you guys have built up over here. My name is Camilo, and I was born in Colombia, but I'm here in LA. I'm a music producer. I'm an audio engineer and I work on films. Yeah, I mean, it's just great to be inspired by other artists telling up amazing stories. I wanted to just say something about what yesterday was saying and a little bit of what Judasaca also was saying, how, we all kind of like try to bring our roots, when we're trying to make art. And after all, I mean, I've been living here in LA for about like now 9 or 8 years. And I've always struggled too with that, because I mean, I am from Colombia, and toda mi identidad es de allá. But in a way, like, when I came here, I kind of merged into, the cultural things here, and also with music, because I come from bands in Colombia. But when I got here, I started making hip hop and I started working with like rappers and all the different type of artists, which it definitely was not my comfort zone, but it created this new, I won't say identity, but this new vibe that now I am, that I think like now people relate to and people want to work with me because I have those roots from where I come from, but at the same time I've been in touch with so many different artists too that are on the same journey, trying to kind of like find their identity now here.
Camilo, what a pleasure to meet you, buddy. I hear you still have that accent, so you can tell you're Colombian. That's nice. And what you say is very important. Like once you go somewhere else, it's also like the community building, right? Like what do you bring to that culture, to that community, to everything? But part of that is also understanding the community or the culture that you're falling into. And maybe that's why I'm so annoying with languages. Like I know I have an accent, but I still speak English when I go to America, and that's part of what we do. and I like speaking the languages here or different accents. And even from just language, as you said, from music, it's how we participate actively on that community. And that's when we start adding and doing real stuff. Like once we know that it's not just like what can I get from LA, but more like what can I go and do in LA, then everything changes. And it's basically the same thing. The big difference is that you're not waiting for it, you're creating it. So once you do stuff, you get it back. I mean, that's what you're doing. That's what you put the work in. But if you just sit there and wait for rain to fall on your face, it doesn't depend on you. So I'll probably work on that. Yeah.
Definitely, I agree 100% on that. And then it also has to be this thing of chaos. You know, we all create it, so like we all have to in a sense be creatively chaotic to not fusion, but also like find different ways to express ourselves, and definitely bring things from our culture, from inspirations from other stuff. You know, I feel like definitely we all the time combining stuff, even though we're not aware of it. So that's pretty cool. And again, I just want to say, not only thank you for letting me hear speak, but it's just amazing to see all different communities. I mean, I'm a streamer. I'm most of the time on Twitch, and I guess more on Instagram. And slowly, I've been just, of course, exploring over here on Twitter. I mean, I've been doing Web3 since the pandemic started, but it's great to just see awesome and just really like honest communities, you know, people about the art, people about collaborating, people about lifting each other. And I think like that is awesome. You know, that's definitely something that encourages you to not only create more, but also like keep you inspired, you know. And I feel like that's really cool.
I love how you closed your I mean by saying like making us creative, like inspiration, like by doing that, you know, just interacting with the community to keep inspired. I hadn't seen it as so like so easily well put, and I feel that's why I'm always engaging with the community to get inspiration back. Sounds selfish, but it's win-win again. Giancarlo.
It's the win-win, man.
Win-win.
It's the win-win for sure. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Camilo, for coming up. And man, it's awesome, man. Love to have you be a part of this community, you know, with us. You know, we do these spaces once a week to highlight different people in the community and really get to know them a bit better. And there's other spaces also that some of our folks on here, like Jenny has a space on Sundays called One Love, which is part of this kind of, you know, broader community that we're building of creators, right? People that, you know, create art and, you know, collect art, you know, and, you know, write, do a lot of different things. So definitely happy to have you here. Glad you joined us, and hope you have a wonderful day, my friend.
Thank you so much. And again, man, really, really awesome. And yeah, man, it's all about the art. Really, it is all about the art and sharing experiences and definitely lifting each other up.
100%, man. 100%. All right. I know Moro was on, and I think Dave just jumped on as well. So we'll do that, and then we're done because I know we went way over. But hey, Moro, how you doing, man? Happy to see you here again. Happy Friday.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? GM, happy Friday. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. I just wanted to hop on and say that basically. I'll be very quick with my stuff. Judah, Luco, everybody else in here that I know from the timeline. Hello. I wanted to touch on Judah a little bit. I was looking at your art, man, and it's sick. It's really cool. I can definitely relate to it. My kids actually earlier today, they were watching like a Halloween Mickey Mouse thing. So it just tells you how influential it is from a young age. And I think that's cool that you're spreading that art throughout your adulthood. Luco, it was cool to hear you talk a little bit. I've never really interacted with you in a space before. This is the first time that I hear you speak. So I think it's really cool that we're able to connect with each other during like bear markets and, you know, just focus on the art in the community that's here. I think that's really special.
Moro, thank you so much for those words. I love it when people bring in their kids and they also connect with their work because they can see what they see, you know, and that's part of marketing. Like I'm sure if I show Mickey Mouse, kids will be like, "Hey, that's Mickey Mouse." If we're older or have a little bit more knowledge or more experience, if we may, because I feel kids are very knowledgeable, we might see other things, and that's basically what I do. You know, it allows other conversations to search from a regular Mickey Mouse with some Marlboro brews And then if we keep looking at it, we might talk for a while. So thank you a lot for that. And yeah, connect a lot more with Luco. I mean, he's everywhere and he's super nice. And he always has the great vibes. If you're feeling down, go in a space, wait till Luco comes up, and then you're done. You're set for the day. That's what he does. He brings joy and happiness to people. And that's why we keep him close. I gotta be honest, that's why we keep Luco close, because he's good vibes all day long.
All day, man. Luco's bringing the good vibes for sure. Let's see, he went down already.
This whole space, I'm having it's like a super gloomy day here in Mass. It's like raining out, but you join these spaces and you just listen to everybody that, is talking and just vibe out, and it kind of distracts you from all the, the bad stuff that can be going on in the world. So I do appreciate these spaces. Jan, Jennifer, of course. I've also been in your One Love space a few times. So keep up the good work, guys. You guys are doing amazing things here, and it'll definitely pay off in the long run, especially connecting all these artists and creators. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Moral. And so glad that this could brighten your day a little bit. So appreciate you so much, just for listening, for being a part of the community as well. You're what you guys and everybody that's in here that's listening, is really what helps make this happen, right? And you're just as important as us up here who are like bringing on the artists and interviewing, right? It's all about all of us in the collective community. So man, appreciate you so much, Moral. I'm gonna go over now to Dave, and then we will wrap it up. So, hey Dave, happy Friday. How you doing?
Hey, happy Friday.
Hey, Dave.
Hello. Sorry, I think I accidentally hit the mic button, but I'm up here now.
There you go.
It's good to see you.
Good to see
to
you
hear
too.
about Judasaca, because I met him in New York, and it was such a pleasure to meet him. And I didn't get a chance to meet Luco, but I was able to meet the Judasaca. So, but yeah, it was just a great experience, and I think the whole space, like when I was listening to you guys, I've been just rugging out like crazy.
Yeah, they're probably changing too many things on X, so that's why I know some people. I mean, actually, I usually been pretty lucky that we've had, knock on wood, somewhere here, but that we've usually been pretty good about not having the space rug and having to start it like 3 or 4 times. I've only had that like a couple of times in the past, but I know some folks that have had like to do it like 3, 4, or 5 times, and then finally it works. So I'm glad that we've usually been pretty good on the technical front when it comes to using these spaces. But yeah, no, nice having you here, Dave, and always appreciate you listening in. And I don't know if you had any other questions or comments, but definitely nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to give out the flowers to Judasaca. It's just a really cool to be able to connect with him and stuff, and just have another family member in the space.
Yeah, most definitely. It's nice to hear you again, Dave. We connected, as you say, in NFT and YC, and I've kept up in the conversation with David for all these months, and so much fun. I mean, David's art is so cool. It's the spaced out collection and dinosaurs, and he's bringing in gorillas now. And I just love how that flows. And buddy, I've been seeing this blue lady you've been painting lately, like a blue female portrait, dude. Wow, like for real, what is that? Is that on glass? I don't really know how that goes, but really, it's beautiful work, man. I'm glad to see that.
Oh man, thank you. That's the art I used to do before I joined the Web3 space. I was doing like hand brushed reverse glass art. It's basically like painting backwards on the glass. But I've been doing it for like over 30 years now, so I've kind of mastered it. But it's something I've just held on to because I just love the effect of it and everything. It was it almost looked digital because I'd make prints and stuff, and people would always ask me, "Is that digital?" I was like, "No, it's like reverse glass." And so that's kind of why I like to keep up with it. It's this very unique style of art, and hopefully one day it'll catch on. The effects of it are pretty amazing to other people's eyes. Definitely get a good reception from it. I appreciate everything from everyone here. it just inspires me to keep doing more.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, man. Yeah, when I was looking at that, I think you were putting a video of like you creating it or whatever, and I'm like, man, this is just spectacular art. And I was even thinking like, man, you should like somehow digitize it, make it into an NFT, and then sell it like together with the glass or something. I don't know, but it's beautiful, man, for sure.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that.
Let's add some AR to it.
Yeah,
augmented reality to that.
That would be dope.
Yeah, that would be cool. You need to help me out with that.
Yes, that would be
Judasaca,
so
because
dope.
I've played around with the app a little bit, but I don't have like the full grasp of it. But once I learn more about it, it would be probably going to be nonstop from there. I guess once I get into something, I just go full steam ahead.
Just hit me up. I'll help you with to cut some corners so you can get to where you want to be quicker. And yeah, for sure, hit me up, man. We're doing that.
Thank you, man. That would be great. Yeah, I'll definitely let you know. I've got so much stuff going on with me now. It's like all about time. You have to manage your time so tightly. And like when you have like a job, like a work 40-hour week job, I feel like you learn really well. It's like managing time. Like on my days off, I get so much done just because I'm so used to like being able to crunch things in different time brackets and stuff. I'll take like a block of like 4 hours and just paint straight and then kind of envision where I'm going to go with it by the end of the 4 hours. And it usually works out pretty well. Like, but yeah, I don't want to keep talking too much.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. Thank you so much for coming on, Dave. And I'm excited to see, man, if you guys partner up and Judasaca helps you do the AR, man, I think that's going to look super dope. And I always love when we make some kind of connection on these spaces, to help somebody collaborate together that probably wouldn't have connected otherwise, or, just up their game on something on the art side. It's so cool. So love to see that. And again, yeah, so I do want to wrap it up now. I know we went probably like, extra long. Apologies for that. I hope we didn't, it's okay. Not too bad. But yeah, no, it was absolute pleasure, having you on the space today, talking to you, learning a bit more about your story, and just going deeper into some of your like philosophies and why you create some of the art. I mean, it really now has given me like a completely different perspective on all your pieces, like on the rat pieces, on the abstract art. Yeah, it's just so awesome. And yeah, I greatly appreciate, also what you do for the community, your willingness to share, to help people, like just like right now, right? Like offering to help David out with the AR art. Yeah, it's amazing, man. So just absolute pleasure. I really hope we can connect in real life at some point soon as well. That would be awesome. And yeah, it's just been so great having you. And also big thanks to everybody that was on the space today, those that waited very long to come up and speak as well. Appreciate you guys so much. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend.
I didn't know if Jen was going to come up, but Jen, for real, the both of y'all, what you do here is insane. I've listened, I've been in plenty of your artist spotlights, and they're always so much fun. But I do gotta say, sitting here in this space, talking to you and being interviewed by you, I didn't even feel it was an interview. I just realized we've been talking for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I was like, whoa, I thought that was a timer. Like, that was a time, but it's been a while, and it didn't feel like so. For real, I like talking, as Anna was saying. It's like every question I just go on for hours. But I didn't know it had been this long, and that just shows that we're having so much fun. So for real, guys, again, thank you so much for hosting this, for creating this. It's art in itself. Thank you to everyone who joined, my brothers, the family, the community, everyone who's out here came out to say hi, to speak. The girl who played the guitar, that was beautiful. That was a beautiful part of this space. So yeah, it was really nice connecting with you guys, and anybody that needs anything, just to say hi or to learn about AR, hit me up. I'm almost always available. If I'm not, we can plan ahead to have a small session where I can teach you a little bit of what I know. So yeah, thank you so much again, guys. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. I hope everything goes well in Miami.
Oh, thank you.
I know you're going to see Jennifer and Carlos, and you got love right there. So yeah, have fun and let us know how that goes.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenny, as well, and everybody else in the space. All right.
Thank
Have a
you, Judasaca.
wonderful weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was phenomenal.
Let's go.
go.
Yo, that was a long time. I didn't realize. I saw it like 1:30 and I was like, we're good. He said 2 hours. And then I looked again and it was 2 hours 38 minutes. I'm like, what happened? We opened up the mics and it's been forever.
Yeah. It's just like
It was fantastic, and we had so many like good speakers too to come
Mhm.
up and ask questions. That
Some
was
good questions. A couple of, fellow Colombians there that came up. So there was new people actually, yeah. Like the two of the guys, what was it, Camilo and Angel. Both of them were new people in the space, and yeah, no, it was cool, man. It was good, and of course, we had like Luco and you Zapata, Anna, some of the
I was just gonna say that I love seeing new people, but again, I mean, Luco and Jufo have heard me say this 1,000 times, and they're still out there, they're still connecting, they're still hyping people up, and the support is just unbelievable from you guys, from the community. I'm truly humbled by what happened today. This was really nice.